Okay, let's call this meeting of the Ad Hoc Coherent Governance Policy Manual Committee to order. If we could stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda. I second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Rachel? There is no public here. Earl is also here, Rachel. And Wendy.
Okay.
And Wendy. So, now we can get to work.
Some of the, we put in the folder, and it's in board docs for you, Rachel. Wendy asked that we put in the tobacco use with students so that you would have the definition of that. We also put in that you have, let's see,
Procurement overview.
the procurement overview, those are the two items that Wendy asked. And then we put in the strategic plan, not the PowerPoint, but just the actual plan and the operational expectation performance goal. These were the two documents that was in Dr. Stratus's PowerPoint. So these were the, I think these are the two that you were looking
Yes,
for.
I thought we might need to be looking at those when we go continue our work for the OEs.
Yeah.
And team
Just so you know, Robin, this meeting is still under draft, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Fully in board docs.
All right, let me check to make it active.
And so, board members, I just wanted to add that when we met last time, we were talking about facilities and about operations and what the superintendent, shall and shall not do. And this had to do with some of the construction issues, and I was concerned about how that might impact on any construction contract that we had in our procurement code. So anyway, the reason I had that procurement summary put in for you all is because at 2 o'clock, Brad G. Murphy's going to just stop in with Robert and talk to you all for a few minutes about what it says, just to give us some more guidance. So,
Yeah, to tee it up, one of the policies that we had agreed on, what the superintendent shall not do, apparently would cause issues in managing construction.
Good to know.
yeah, so they're going to come in.
So
Yeah,
they would like us to rethink that.
Okay.
yeah.
Do you remember
And
which one it was?
It's the one about facilities. And just real quickly while we're
It's
looking
on,
at.
yeah, page 69. That's
And-
all I remember, it was on page 69.
And, right, and then under the procurement overview that Reggie gave me, and he's gonna explain it, much better than me, but what he pointed out was a number 9 on page 4 in the procurement overview. It says, change orders which do not significantly change the scope of the project or exceed the budget authorized by the board may be executed by the superintendent or designee without prior approval. So I wanted him to come and explain all of that, so you all feel comfortable.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify that.
Okay.
Does Rachel?
She has
Oh,
access.
good.
It's
Okay,
in
good.
board docs.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay. And we also have a list of the items that we are supposed to work on. Correct?
So we moved over 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and OE6, so.
Yep, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and OE6, financial administration. I have arbitrage, but
Yes, I have, and premiums. I just want to bring something up here. So, because we just had the PE2D, okay? So I was looking, all the elements on PE2D are in OE6. Now, this is kind of what I just kind of had a moment here when I was doing this. The PE is this broad statement, and then this is the interpretation. This is the well, all these things that are on the interpretation, we have now put in the OE. So, in a sense, we're taking away the superintendent's interpretation and telling him what we want included in that interpretation. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just didn't really get that before when I was, but in this one, okay, if you look at PE 2D, we just approved it, and PE 2 is the superintendent will develop the broad statement, is that he will develop a fiscally responsible debt management program, blah, 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 and then under financial administration, and under here are these things that he's gonna do, and they're all in our OE6.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah,
I agree with you. We moved them over and we forgot about it. He's supposed to come up with the interpretation. He may come up with those exact same things, but we probably should not put them in.
yeah, that's what I was wondering, is that contrary to what we're trying to do here with
Well,
Rachel?
can I say something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna just say, like, what we have been doing so far to date is mostly just the mapping. So then when we get into the whether or not they are, aligning with this governance model is a little bit different. With regard to the arbitrage and premiums and whatnot, I had just seen that as a reporting mechanism, basically that needs to be reported to us, not that we were going to try to circumscribe any type of interpretation of it. Like that, it would be up to him on how he's going to report that or whatnot to us. But I see that kind of just being as a reporting, additional reporting that we were asking for. But I see some of these others as potentially, I agree with you, being more specific.
I mean, I think the others are requiring reports as well. I'm just, it's just a question for us to think about, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Can you
Okay.
tell me which one you were talking about
Okay.
again? 'Cause I'm trying to pull it
Yeah,
up on
so if you look on
the computer.
OE6,
Uh-huh.
and it's on, look at number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Those are all things that were taken from the superintendent's, and then look at PE 2D, which we just approved.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at those things that, under the superintendent's interpretation, those things are all there. So, if we put these here in an OE, then are we giving the superintendent the interpretation of what we want? And, or do we just want to say, these are the reports that we want? I don't know.
And then he has a reasonable interpretation of how to provide that information to cover what your expectation
he
is.
decides how that information is going to be presented, but this is just us aligning the PEs with the OEs is, I thought, the best practice to make sure that there was nothing slipping through the cracks of what is already being done. The PEs are already supposedly being, given to us. So if we don't have that aligned with policy and we don't have that in the OEs, then there's nothing to hold it to that. I mean, then we could, eventually that PE, we might not get that. So if it's in an OE, then it's memorialized as this is a policy that we are going to see this, on whatever that frequency is.
Yeah.
The other approach would be, because I think Rachel has a good point, our job is pretty much to make sure everything got
Meshed over.
put in the right box.
Yeah.
And maybe the next committee can go through and polish that stuff off if they want.
Yeah, I think if it's not in the OEs though, then there's no board guidance. Like the OE serves as the board's guidance to those PEs that are now going to be called. I don't know if they're going to call them OEs now. Are they going to change that? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's even been addressed.
Well, yeah, we are, but I don't know if they are.
We're
Well,
going to call them OEs, but I don't know if they're, so in my mind, it was that everything aligned, and so that it was the board's direction that those come from the district.
Okay.
Right, so it seems to me then, when this coherent governance was adopted many years ago, this was, like, this 2D, or let me go back. Yeah, this PE 2D aligns with what, we've said that Frank is going to have to do is give the interpretation. So in 2D, that works, but if we were to look at 4.5, and look at this, and that was the one that we had about the minority, the business owned, minority women-owned business enterprise report. In 4.5, the superintendent's interpretation is much more minimal. There's so much less to it than there is in 2D. And then the statement of compliance, or the evidence of compliance, was just this one report, which we said was not sufficient enough. I mean, and it, as we go forward. So I think that, Kathy, by you realizing that 2D is what OE6, the superintendent's interpretation is, that in many ways is going to make it easier in some instances for Frank to say, okay, here is the interpretation. But that's not the case for all the PEs.
Yeah, some may be more or less. I think it's,
Well, some may have been done in the past appropriately and comprehensively, and the others in the past look like they were done minimally.
What's the PE number?
This is from, this is 4.5.
And, yeah.
Do you remember I couldn't
I
find it
know,
in
and
the car
I
yesterday?
can't find, well, PE4 is about asset protection.
That's what we found yesterday.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the minority women.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was confused about that too at
Yeah.
the meeting. This title didn't make any sense really for it to be there.
Right,
And I
and,
don't know if that's because it was okay, where do we put this?
right. And Rachel, that was the experience the academic committee had when we were looking at PE 1.1 and the evidence supplied to support that compliance was not aligned with what the title was, and we felt it was much more applicable to PE 1.3. So yeah, there's still quite a bit of work to
Yeah.
do in making sure this is a comprehensive manual.
Yeah.
I have to figure out where that,
I'm gonna get the original.
that business one, minority business falls.
I know.
I think that falls under like compliance with procurement code stuff, but I don't even know if that's is that a separate, I'm trying to see if it's a separate
Well, when we looked yesterday, as we were driving up to Columbia, and, well, Kathy was driving, Lindsay, she was driving carefully, she was driving very carefully, yes.
And y'all had a good day, good.
Yeah, I was looking in 4.5 in our strategic plan, because that's how it's supposed to, that's how my understanding is that it lines up, and I could not find it.
And procurement is actually in PE3, financial administration.
okay, so then it would go in, so then it does belong in OE6.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably where,
Right, but OE6 would be a lot more expansive than what the evidence we were supplied for PE 2.2D, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the interpretation
to
would
it.
have to be different,
Right.
yeah.
So then I think that we should have a note then for when we do our next presentation of the work product, that we specify that in those, that again, reemphasize that we mapped things, and that these OEs/PEs need probably further digging and meshing to align with coherent governance, and that it's
Yeah,
clear, it's more clear, because we didn't dig into the, you know, actual specifics of each individual one. We just mapped them out.
So Robin just brought the original, and PE4 originally was financial administration. Now that's PE3, and that statement about the minority and women business enterprise was added to the, oh, and it's here, it's in PE3 right now, PE 3.5.
3.5.
As well as the need to afford minority, yeah, it's added there, sorry. But where is it in the strategic plan?
Now that, it's not in the strategic, well,
But the PEs,
it says it's from the DRP, which is the district
right,
Strategic plan.
2.6.
okay, 2.6, so let's take a look at the strategic plan, 2.6. I think that as time goes on, the more we can ensure that everything, you know, just, okay. 2.6, monitor, let me double check this is 2. Okay, monitor all financial transactions through a recognized, regularly audited accounting system.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
2.6, and then 2.61, which would be a sub, and 2.62, neither one of those have anything to do with the.
Well, this is added on to the statement about procurement though. So indicator 6 would be following procurement laws, I would assume, because it says all financial through a recognized audited accounting system. And then maintaining I don't know, but anyways, yeah.
So,
Okay.
Wait, what, you said you're looking in the strategic plan?
because that's where the PEs come from.
Okay, because I just pulled it up in board docs and I have no idea what you guys are looking at. What I'm looking at is the.
We're in our,
Yeah.
remember the notebook we got when we came on board? That 3-ring binder? Do you have access to that
Yeah.
really quickly?
I do.
The strategic plan's in there.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
It's under the first tab.
First tab.
It's in a green section.
And when you see, Rachel, it says resource and support systems. That would be number 2. And my understanding is that the quality indicators come from advanced ed. Okay, so you have your quality indicators, and then the district strategic plan, all right, would be how those quality indicators are played out in the district. And that's where you then have, like, on the next page where it says, like, quality indicator number 1 says recruit, employ, mentor qualified professional staff, okay? You turn to the green section and you have indicator 1, and then 2.11, 2.12, and 2.13 is how the district is going to employ those quality indicators. That's the alignment between the advanced ed, because you have the advanced ed accreditation to run a school district.
Got it, okay.
So indicator
I felt kind of
6.
silly saying that to you, Dr. Wisniewski.
It
I'm sorry, I was stating the obvious, I apologize.
was good for
Well, the ricochet was good for me.
Okay.
Me too.
I'm blushing actually, because I know you knew that, I didn't mean to make it sound,
No, I was confused because the strategic plan that's in board docs is not that document.
Right, that's our current one that Kathy asked us to put in there, that Mary, that we're working on currently.
Yeah.
Got it. Can we get that, this other one though, that I've got the hard copy of, can we get that one put into, I think we need that in board docs as well though, so that when because we've got the map at the very front of this
Mhm.
not handbook, excuse me, in the front of the manual now, and it would be useful so that we can, I think we need to be clear in that, so that there's no,
Changing that.
But this is being changed. This is what's being updated, that we have to, you know, they're going around to those town meetings,
Mhm.
to get input on this, on the updated one that Mary has started. So it's in flux right now, I think.
And I believe that has to be in by April, maybe
Right.
the end of
I
April.
think it's end of April, April 30th or something.
Right, and also, in order to ask for a waiver on our calendar, we have to have our strategic plan in, as well as our approved calendar. So everything's kind of coming,
Together.
Yeah, and that's what's in board docs, is the one that they're working on, and that's the one that they're looking to submit in April.
Right, and once that's submitted, the old one is irrelevant.
Correct.
once it's approved by us, yes, and then
So the old
submitted,
one will be irrelevant and
right.
only a source of confusion.
And that was our conversation yesterday, Kathy, which do we do first? Because this one is gonna be irrelevant. So we were talking about referencing.
Yeah.
Right. And I
so it's
suspect this,
not gonna look anything like this?
No. Well,
I
what you
don't know,
have, what you have in board docs is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, and I have not perused the new one yet because I was not there for Mary's presentation during the work session. So, and again, this, I'm not saying it's not gonna look like it, this could very well just be, remember, we were required to do an update on the current 5-year strategic plan, which is the one that's in our folder.
That's what this is gonna be.
So, I don't know if it's a total revamping or just a,
I think it's a total revamping.
is it?
Because it doesn't look like it'll.
Yep, doesn't look
It
at all.
doesn't look like the old one.
I think it's a total revamping.
Or just as an update of the data, which is might,
It might be just an update of the data components,
yeah,
and the other things stay the same.
yeah, this is sure looking,
Yeah,
and again, I
because there's
apologize.
nothing, the only things that are addressed in this update are the assessment, the performance
Yeah.
goals, the proficiency, nothing about like, you know, the other components.
Right,
human
I don't think it
resources.
And
is.
nothing about like the procurement or anything that we were
Right,
talking
Yeah,
about.
right.
I think that strategic plan, and actually, if you look at the front page, you know, this does just say update number 1, for the phase of the plan. It's
Where,
on the
oh,
very
yeah.
opening page of this, new strategic plan, the update, and so,
The one that's in board docs.
yeah. So,
So then would that go, so pardon my ignorance, because I don't know how this typically is formatted, but, so we've got presently the title page, so section 1, strategic plan, and it goes into all that stuff and that mapping that you just provided very well, Tricia. So would update 1 then fall behind this section 1 and be like a section 1A or 1B, would that fall behind? Because it seems to me that the initial 5-year plan is this section 1 strategic plan that's already here, that we already have.
I'm gonna go get see if Mary is available so that she
Yeah.
can come down and answer questions for you.
okay, so I'm not sure of your question right now, but all I know is that in 2013, the work was started on this strategic plan, and it was to run from 2014 to 2019. At the end of the school year 2019, if you recall, we found out that the strategic plan had not been submitted on time to the state. And when Dr. Rodriguez came on board, they received a waiver saying, we understand a transition occurred, just provide, an update and submit that, as I'm recalling, and Rachel, I know there's some gaps in my recall here. And so this then, as I understand it, is the updated data required by the state of how the strategic plan is going. You know, in the Horry County one that we were looking at and wondering if it was a good model, and they had all that data in the results, in their bylaws section and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that what this would be like the update on what those types of results would be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it just falls behind what we presently have, because what we presently have, the update is data relative to performance and things like that, and operational expectation alignment and whatnot. It seems like a bunch of information relative to where we are with scores and things like that.
Right.
But the strategic plan section 1 that we have right now in this binder talks about HR stuff and quite a lot of other things. So I'm wondering if that update 1 would fall, sorry, I had a call trying to be bent, if it comes behind this. So it would just be incorporated into what is presently and not an exchange.
Right, I think it would be, the information as to results, like you said, data, and how the student achievement is progressing. And every year there should have been these kinds of results added to the strategic plan, so that you see whether or not you are meeting your goals of student achievement and things.
Right.
So no, I don't think, as I'm looking through this now, this does not supplant
No, I
the
don't think so.
strategic plan that, like all the narrative that we have in the current strategic plan.
Okay. Yeah, I think it just goes behind as an addition or a subpart or something.
And updated every year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to figure out then also, in going to that, does that require, because now we've got section 1, let me pull this up.
Excuse me, I have to call by the case, just real quick here.
So in our current, the way we have it formatted, we have an introduction, we have the GCs, the board superintendent relationship, the operational expectations, and the results. In our present table of contents, we've got the introduction, mission, vision, district core beliefs and goals, section 1, strategic plan, then board policies, work plan and PEs, ARs, and the results. So, in reformatting this, I'm wondering if,
I see, you're talking not just a strategic plan in and of itself, you're talking about the whole manual, right?
yeah, like
Okay.
everything. So,
Right, and so my misunderstanding.
And it's inserted, since it's inserted in there, essentially.
Oh, agreed. These results under tab number 5 should have been in here every single year since 2014.
Right.
Right. And so when we received this manual, we would have expected it would have had historical data from the inception of the strategic plan. But it's my understanding, as I'm trying to recall, Robin, and you can help, these have not been updated, right?
What are we
The
talking about?
results.
No, the results have, no, they have not.
Right, and since the inception of this whole.
Correct.
Right, and so, so yes, we're saying the same thing, Rachel, this should have been updated.
And what is presently in the table of contents says section 3, work plan of PEs, as well as section 5, results, is being incorporated on what is section 2 now.
Okay, say that one more time, please.
Okay, so in our book that has the 5 tabs,
Got it,
you've got in the table of contents,
looking at it, yeah.
intro, mission, section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. So technically, and the way that we're reformatting things and aligning it, section 3 and 5 are being incorporated into what is section 2.
Well, I think they can still be separate sections, because section 3, instead of being PEs, will be OEs. And we still have a results section.
And I think that section 2 is going to say governing commitments, policies, and that will be broken out. And then section 2 is going to say board superintendent relation policies, and that will be broken out. So this
Right,
table,
so they have subparts under section 2 as policy, you have GCs,
right,
BSRs, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, which is-
So those would have the 4 different quadrants.
right,
But
Right.
under section 3 where it says work plan and performance expectations, number 1, with those, the way that they presently are, we have to make sure that, I don't know if we need to put in an OE next to it so that that's very clear that that's how they align, because they might not be in order, which I don't think they are. Because I think we've decided what with the PE4 is actually OE6.
okay.
And
I
so
suggest we
once they-
just get rid of this table of
Yeah, we'll
contents.
just get rid of this
Right.
table of contents. and-
Right, and create a whole new one, because once we reformat the governance, the whole thing is gonna shift and change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then, but then you have section 4 that's got all the AR as well.
So we just change that to whatever section it's gonna be. If it becomes 3 or whatever, that, is,
Right, and I'm understanding so much better what you're saying now. You're looking at it as the whole manual. Earlier, I was really just looking at the strategic plan part of this manual. But,
Yeah, I'm looking at like the future board members that come in here.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because this is what was handed to us,
yep,
so they need to be able to understand the map. You know,
Absolutely.
we tried to make it as very clear as possible, and I want to make sure that there's no misunderstanding with future board members of, if we keep PEs at the district level named PEs, then board members need to know what OE that is for us.
I think that's so confusing, and for a new board member, it's extraneous information. Why would they, need to know the history behind it as much as what the governing, the policies will have gone through the readings, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and the other thing I was worried about was if this strategic plan is updated on a yearly basis, does that then require us, for our policies, to read it 3 times before it ever gets incorporated?
I think the only part of this strategic plan that gets updated annually are the results. So I think that we have to look at the results, and I would, from being on the results committee, we did make, an expectation for 2 years of results. But we could change the second year based on, could we do that, or did we already agree?
They already got it in
Yeah,
2%.
2%,
They already
okay,
put it
they
in.
already put in what we put in.
They already lined it up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to do that. I think the results, well, actually, we will, wouldn't you think we would be amending our results every year after that based on our results?
Well-
So we will be, in a sense, reviewing that.
That was the concept coming out of results,
Yeah.
was that every year you would review it because you don't know where the bar should be,
Right.
so
Right,
you're estimating.
right.
And my understanding was that the strategic results section of the strategic plan was supposed to be updated every year.
Yes.
Mary is on her, Ada just came
Okay.
down, Mary's on
So
her
we can-
way, so she'll be
Okay.
coming here to
We
answer
can
your
talk about it.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for her, there is a crosswalk, right?
Yes, this was the other thing that they put in there, so.
Right, there's this crosswalk of operational expectations to
That's in board docs, Rachel.
Yeah, is that the policy AR crosswalk?
This
That's
is,
that one right here.
it says operational expectations and performance goal correlation.
Correlation, okay. Yeah,
It seems like this might have done some of our work,
Yeah.
which is good, but I also point out that I think operational expectations is now the wording. And I think we're all committed to
Yes,
calling it
we should
OE
be.
from
I
now
think,
on.
yes.
And drop the PE things.
So help me interpret this chart for me, David. I'm looking at it and I see OE1. And OE1 is instructional program,
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
So then, under that, what's the SA 1.0? What does that mean?
I
What is,
don't know, first time I've seen it.
okay. Oh, wait, is there a thing here? SA, student achievement. Okay. So student achievement is affected by OE1. Student achievement is affected by OE2, which is budget and financial planning. OE3, I think that's what that means.
Do you see
But what's
that?
one, I see that.
Okay. So the student achievement comes out of these, right?
And it says, okay, so 1.1, student achievement, where's my, I wanna go to ROE1 to see what these numbers are. But I think you're right, David, I think that
SA, student achievement, okay.
that this crosswalk, if I understand it.
Seems like it's done a lot of the work for us, make sure everything's aligned. I just want to make sure I understand. And it's not
But
comprehensive.
that's not our OE1 anymore. That's the problem. So what's, instruction is,
This one, we're looking at this.
no, I'm looking, OE1 is the global operation. Instructional
Right.
programs, OE10, so go to that one. I think she used, before the PE
She was
number one,
using-
she was using that,
Okay.
right, so that's where we have to, so OE10, I just need to, I wanna, figure this out, get it straight in my head.
Oh, me too, because it would have value if I understood it.
Right, exactly, well, I was counting on you, David.
Yeah, she aligned it with P.
One, okay.
P1,
So,
student achievement,
yeah, so OE1, is
Our OE10.
OE10.
or OE10.
Student achievement, professional learning, it says, I'm on the second page now, it says OE 1.2,
on there. Yeah,
What
professional learning.
page you on?
but I don't, 1.2, would that have been our old? I don't think so, was it?
Now, if it was old, it's new.
No,
We
it's
moved
somewhere.
everything over. I seem to recall us talking about this.
I just can't believe you know that. Yes, see, on the old one, PE 1.2 was professional learning. So OE 1.2,
Yeah.
now where did we move that? Because it's not, oh wait, we should have it on that list, right?
Yeah.
I have,
Should be on our list.
10.5. Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's get the list, where's the list?
So
So
under
looking
table
at, looking
contents,
at OE10, right, which was our
PE
PE1,
1,
and you're looking at PE1,
2, which
2,
was
collaborative learning.
professional learning, yeah, where did we put that? Is it on our
I have-
crosswalk?
no, these are the crosswalks are our policies. We
Yeah.
didn't crosswalk our PEs.
Oh, we didn't crosswalk our PEs.
PEs, right, we crosswalked the policies.
Policy.
Okay,
Yeah.
So,
that's what we're
Make sure
supposed to be
Crosswalk
working on.
the PE.
so now we gotta,
really.
we need to crosswalk the PEs to the OEs.
Right.
Where we put them all.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. It's number 15 on OE10. I thought we talked, teachers will participate in collaborative learning communities and other professional.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
professional,
I felt like we did this.
yeah, I think, yeah.
Just, I don't know that we wrote it down somewhere though. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's on, yeah. Okay, 15.
That's OE 1015.
So, I see what Mary's done. She's done a crosswalk using our old numbering system
Yep.
to show where everything is, and what we need to do is kind of
Make sure
make
we
sure we put our new numbers,
Right, so
yeah.
that, these OE numbers right up here, right? So we're gonna say that OE 1.2
1.2
is now 10.15? Is that what you're saying, Kathy?
1.2, well, wait a minute.
professional learning.
Oh, but I don't understand how that goes. Yeah, I guess.
So there was looking at the additions. Let's see, so there's 16 listed out here under superintendent shall. There was 11 in our old PE. So,
And we went through each one to make sure that they were all somewhere.
yeah,
We
that they
did
matched
that.
up.
Right.
But there should, it looks like maybe we adopted some others from Ori though.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
correct?
Or that the Ori statement was sufficiently expressed what ours said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to Mary's paper right here, if I'm reading this correctly, look at the second column over. OE 1.2, right? Which Kathy just said, teachers will participate in
Oh yeah,
collaborative
she
learning.
hyperlinked them.
Right, so that 1.2 is now our OE 1015, right?
Right.
So that's what we have to go through is change all these numbers to that.
We have to change this part in the back. On the third page.
Right. Where she's got, yeah.
Maybe we should just go through them now. Do that.
Yeah, you think that is a good,
We do that.
I kind of hijacked your
If we-
meeting, David.
I know that. But I thought it was productive. If we go through that and then give it to Mary, then she can update.
Okay.
She can change.
All right.
She can update this table if we just give her
Okay.
that.
So 1.3
Equivalence.
was a comprehensive assessment.
So can we start with 1.1?
We-
OE 1.1 is what?
OE
For
1.1 is
Equitable
10.
challenges in learning.
Annual student achievement,
Student
OE 1.1.
Annual student achievement.
By equitable and
okay.
challenging learning. Well, that's PE 10, OE 10, that's the statement.
I
Okay.
think it's 6. OE 10-6 is former PE 1.1.
It is, okay.
So this is 10.6.
1.3, comprehensive assessment system.
Okay.
1.3, develop and implement comprehensive.
I'm not sure it's 10.6 exclusively.
Well,
Which one, number one?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was the statement up above, the superintendent shall maintain a program of instruction that offers challenging, Yeah.
I think maybe just so, it's OE 10.
OE 10, yeah.
And not put the .6 on
Yeah.
there. That was my thinking.
Now, the professional learning is more specific,
So that is OE 1015.
yes. Now, OE 1.3, comprehensive assessment system.
We said that was 10.4, I thought.
Yep.
Yes, 10.4.
And I thought 1.4 was the same as 10.11.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can go with that. I mean, they used to be hung up on the technology stuff. As opposed to the content,
yeah.
previous boards. It was one of their goals to increase technology.
Increased technology, right, it was.
So, I think that's, fits there. Okay.
Okay.
Continuous improvement, I don't know if that's.
1.5, monitor and adjust curriculum.
The notes I have is that that was 10.8.
Regularly evaluated and modified, yeah, to improve
Yeah,
their.
I guess that needs improvement.
Did you write that down on an old sheet?
I did.
See, I wish I didn't bring my old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good, that was smart, you're so smart. Engage families in meaningful ways.
That's one that I have a star next to, meaning that it's not in an OE, that we did not have that in one. So I didn't write down if we eventually found a place. Unless, did we add that? No, we did, 16. We added it to 16.
Yeah, it is, it's
Yeah.
number 16.
Yep.
So it's 10.16.
Huh.
That's a new one.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
a new one.
That was considered, I think I remember that one.
Yeah.
Gather, analyze, and use data and research.
And we had said that was 10.1.
Is that guidance services?
But that isn't guidance services, oh wait,
Oh, she missed it. See, I'm looking at 7. There's no 7 on here.
there is no 7.
That was part of what we talked about, is that all the PEs weren't being addressed.
Right,
And if you have it as a PE, why wouldn't it have been addressed?
Is there still a need for it? Because that was some of the things
Mhm.
that, as the committees, you were supposed to go back and review your PEs.
Right.
To say, is that something that you still want to have or not, or if you wanted to add something to it?
Right,
well, I think number 7 is pretty important.
Okay. OE, is that an instructional?
Gather, analyze, and use data
Mhm.
in making curricular and instructional choices, but I think there's something like that here.
And we had talked about that being 10.1.
Yeah, 10.1.
10.1, yeah. Hi there.
Hello.
So that would have to be one that we added,
So
right?
what they're doing.
Well, except that if she didn't address it in this plan, and the strategic plan has to be
That's what I
addressed.
meant, yeah, so it would have to be in this.
Right.
The draft of this and the OE.
That's it, yeah.
So
We're now
what they're doing
uploading
now
stuff
is
to the
going
strategic
through-
plan.
Well,
They had questions about the strategic plan.
that's a question for Mary, whether it needs to be.
That is a
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
The crosswalk.
We were coming
Right,
down.
we were
Okay,
coming
so we're
down
matching
from
those
strategic
two.
plan.
Okay,
So we're
numbers
gonna
like 10.
upload it.
So that's what we're
Change it.
doing now.
Okay.
So.
So,
This is where
so
we are.
it is not my understanding, so David, my understanding is anything that was on here,
Sorry.
anything that's on here is from the strategic plan.
No.
This is from the annual work plan, which we know not all the PEs are on the annual work plan. So we're not really uploading anything to the
That's right.
strategic plan. We're uploading it to the annual plan, which is where Mary took this from.
I took that from, yes.
Yes.
And the annual plan, we know, does not address all the PEs.
Comprehensive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, in the front, in the title, or in the table of contents, it says work plan and PE.
yeah,
But that can be
So-
addressed.
So at some,
Right, 'cause
some
it-
point
because-
then, we have to address the missing pieces, the ghost
Yes.
pieces.
Yeah, 'cause we only looked at the PEs that were associated with our
The work
performance
plan.
goals. Now, we may have missed some, we could always add to this.
uh-huh. So say a little bit more about that, Mary. You only took the
We
PEs that
only
were
took
associated with.
PEs that we felt were associated to the performance goals that were identified from the needs assessment and from our listen and learn that are in the strategic plan. So this may not reflect all of the PEs.
As the work plan did not reflect all of the PEs, for sure.
Yes, because case in point, there was one presented the other evening that was not on the work plan, on the chart, yes, the 4.5.
Okay.
The strategic plan she's talking about is the one in board docs, Rachel, not our existing.
Yeah,
Yes,
There's the strategic plan, which is up here,
yes.
and everything comes down from that. This is
Theoretically, yes.
theoretical, and that's what
Yes.
I'm trying to get.
Yes.
Get us lined up theoretically. Everything comes down, and then where does the annual work plan come from?
I don't know who
That's
developed
ours, right? The board sets that out,
I would say that the board sets that out, and I'm gonna do the simple,
and the board has missed some of the strategic plan items.
Right.
It's
So that's a to-do.
the work plan comes from where you have down here, and there's their monitoring frequency.
So, right.
That's where the work plan would come in, because
So the
you,
frequency would be down there, but we.
Right,
we
you would
seem-
just say
we
when
seem
you
to
wanted
have
to-
missed some things in the
Right.
strategic plan. We don't have OEs for them.
yes.
And that's what we were trying to make sure
Yes.
that,
All the
No,
OEs.
we have OEs for them.
Right,
We
but
do?
there might be some OEs that are not in the strategic plan.
And that's a problem too.
Yes, technically, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking, I'm
Because
just
we were
trying to,
working with the document of what we have.
trying to make sure they all line up
So-
and we don't start bringing stuff in because it's all supposed to
Do you
come
have a
this
master
way.
list of the OEs?
Well, the OEs are,
Because to use Mr. Strivinger's logic, we have to go back to your master list of OEs and then realign the crosswalk with the PGs that are in the strategic plan to make sure that, and just something not, do we have a performance goal that aligns with it? That's gonna be your gap,
Right,
Yeah.
right, we gotta close that gap.
yes.
so basically what we've done is taken our PEs and translated them into OEs.
Yes, I got that, I got that,
Okay.
That's what we've done.
yes.
So we
I got
have
that.
all these new OEs.
But some OEs may not be in here.
Oh,
Right, and those OEs,
And because
yeah,
some of our,
because where you have OE 1.1, that's really our OE 10.
Okay, and so then your OE 10 is what?
Instructional program.
Which number would, and that would, okay, and that's easy fix.
Yeah, that's what we're
Easy
trying to,
fix.
well, we're
Right,
trying to do
okay.
that
For you
now.
now.
We're
All
trying to
right,
do that
thank you,
now.
okay.
Those
Yeah.
are easy fixes,
Right.
renaming them.
Okay,
So if I look at the key, I think that would be the, if I'm on this document with the crosswalk,
yeah,
page 2 with the key.
yeah.
Give me corrections on the key that we used. So OE 1.1, we had as annual student achievement, should technically be what?
10.
OE 10.
OE 10.
Instructional time, or the number should just say?
The numbers are changing.
Okay, gotcha.
Everything's being
Gotcha.
renamed.
So E 1.10, gotcha. Give me the next one.
no, OE 10,
I got
It's
it, oh,
just-
just OE 10?
Just
OE
OE
10.
10.
not 1
No,
point,
no decimal
no,
point.
just OE 10, right,
Thank you,
yeah. Now, there will be some decimal points, but not for that one.
okay,
Okay.
So the next one, professional learning.
is that correct?
OE 10, number 15.
Or a point, whatever you want to use.
Point.
E 10.15, go for it, got it.
Comprehensive assessment system.
OE 1. We said that was 10.4.
Yeah,
OE 10.
OE 10.
Gotcha.
Foster technology use.
10.11.
Now, that one doesn't, did we say that's what it was? Oh, that was your comment, that we used to focus on technology, and now it's like,
Right. We
Well,
used to
now-
focus on technology, not on content.
So it will be 10.11?
well, what 10.11 says, select textbooks and instructional materials that advance the achievement of the board's results, policies, and that achieve continuity, integration, and articulation of the curriculum by course and content.
Thank you.
Yeah, and some of these titles, Mary, that were put on the annual work plan, you know, which is what you have here, basically matched up. Some of the, you know, they're a little too maybe pointed instead of comprehensive enough.
Okay, I'm good.
Yep, okay.
I'm good. Once I get the numbers aligned, give me the new titles.
Okay.
And then what I can do, because I'm doing a presentation tonight, so I need to clean this for my
Oh,
presentation. I have a
gosh.
5:30
Oh,
to the public.
I know, you're not,
And that's, no, I could,
Yeah,
that doesn't
You
matter to
might
the
not want to
public.
Yeah,
clean it
but-
up for the public.
Yeah, for the public, they don't really need to know.
This is
I
now,
mean-
this is official.
right,
This is
right,
just
right.
a
It's
committee,
so-
it's
not a
okay,
board.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
So your 1.5,
Continuous improvement.
10.8.
Yeah, to ensure continuing effectiveness. 10.8. Engage families, 10.16. Guidance services, I cannot find.
That's where I left off.
and actually, that was presented this year.
It was,
Yes.
yeah.
and that's one of the ones that I had a star next to, meaning that
We needed
are-
to add it somewhere.
Right. or where does it
Yeah.
fit? So,
Anything with MTSS? Anything for student support, IGPs, graduation rate?
yeah, see, I think that just guidance, I mean, it could be a little more, like you just said.
Right. Any that
Student
falls under
support.
that,
Yeah, yeah.
student support services, counseling,
Mhm.
because most of that would go through guidance services at a school.
Right.
And that's in the strategic plan where?
It would be under MTSS, and if you give me 1.9,
That's the guidance one.
right, and I'm just aligning it to which, it's
Yeah.
tied to student achievement 1.1 performance goal.
Okay. I just wanna make sure
Yeah.
we're not putting stuff in that isn't in. the-
That doesn't exist, I agree,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Well, actually, do you think this one would address the guidance, although guidance is pretty specific, although, 10.6, ensure that the instructional program addresses the different learning styles and needs of students of various backgrounds and abilities and are available to students throughout the district as fairly and equitably as reasonable? I don't know.
That almost sounds like the original 1.1 that we're gonna report on, to
Yeah.
be honest with you.
Yeah,
It does sound like
it
the
does
original
sound like that one,
1.1.
yeah. Okay, so we need to add a 17?
Well, and that's interesting, I mean, I have a star next to it,
Okay.
meaning that we didn't see where,
So
and then
let
I
me
don't,
go to the performance goal that I have it tied to, and maybe that would help.
Okay,
Okay, so if I go to 1.1, we tied it to, by the end of 2023, a minimum of 82% of students in grades 3 through 8 will score approaches, meets or exceeds expectations in SC ready math and reading. One of the interventions is a multi-tiered system of support, utilizing a district task. In other words, it's RTI services, which and my learning plan. But the guidance was tied to it by being able to push an the MTSS. Because if a child isn't meeting, performance, guidance should be taken care of through RTI and setting plans and having that be part of the school.
well, I see the guidance one as being also inclusive of the career planning.
Yes.
Those types of things. So where else, you know,
Well, it was tagged also in student achievement 1.3.
develop and implement a comprehensive,
It's the conversation there is targeted at C or higher in EOCs.
No, I think I'm going through that comprehensive assessment system.
1.4 and 5.
well, what do you think, folks? Should we just,
It's tied with graduation rate.
So don't we have
Yeah.
And
college
it's,
and career ready?
career, yeah, do we have, that's.
yes, we did, it's tied to 1.5.
That's
So it is identified, guidance is
that's
identified.
where guidance fits.
Yeah, but where is that?
in 10.
10.8.
10.8, assign sufficient staff to meet the vision and purpose of each school. No, oh wait, that's
No,
the-
ensure all instructional programs, including both content and practice.
are regularly evaluated and modified as necessary to ensure their continuing effectiveness.
That would not be guidance.
So you, we make up a new number?
Yeah,
I
Make it
think we
new.
that's a good idea.
I think we should add it as number 17. David, you're looking uncertain.
I'm just want to stay conceptually clear. We're not creating anything. This committee is not creating. We're just putting stuff places.
This was there.
So this is there. We
We're
need
gonna
to
put it over
somewhere.
here.
And David, every other
The
thing that.
next committee will clean the stuff up.
Okay.
Right. Everything that I had a little star by, David, we had added to the end, but this one we didn't add for some reason, so it's very consistent with what we did.
Rachel, did you have something?
No, ma'am, I wasn't sure if David just clarified, kind of, I was thinking maybe we should just take our PEs as they exist and insert them in, as opposed to utilizing ORI, but, I think ORI has good stuff. I'm just wondering if it would be for ease of understanding of the district, and translating everything over to them as they align stuff, if it would be easier if we just went ahead and imported our PEs into the appropriate titles, as opposed to utilizing ORI stuff. But, I mean, if we're just importing this and aligning it, and then the other committee's gonna vet it through maybe codes and stuff, then maybe that doesn't matter. I'm just thinking outside, or thinking aloud.
That's permissible. But our task, I thought, was to take our PEs and mesh them with the WORI. That was the task we had coming out of the workshop.
Okay. I wasn't.
I know.
I wasn't there for that, so
I know.
I didn't know if it would be easier for us to do it that way, but if that's the task, then we can move forward.
So we're just gonna take this number 9 and move it over here.
To
So it becomes 1017.
10.17.
So this 1.9 is
Is
1017. The instructional time is, I think, 1010. Allocate and protect,
10-9. Right,
yes, 10-9 over here, yeah.
and Kathy, maybe, and 10-10. Not only the academic day,
Yeah.
but the academic calendar, so that
Right.
would be 9 and 10, right?
Yeah.
10-9 and 10-10.
Student engagement.
I had written down 10, that was a 10-1.
So I just need a point of clarity, so your 10-11 is academic calendar? When you were saying that the OE that I had listed here, 1.10 instructional time, you're putting that into 2?
Well, our statements are 10-9 on
Okay,
here.
I got you.
Project the instructional time for students during the academic day.
I have that,
And then 10-10, ensure that the district calendar and time made available
okay.
during the instructional day, assign priorities.
That
So
makes
it's
sense,
actually,
doesn't it?
yeah. And the next committee may decide to combine those maybe into one, I don't know.
Okay. It would be the better choice.
To combine them?
Yes,
Yeah, I
because
agree,
your
yeah.
academic time is tied to the amount of minutes per day that equate to the necessary
Absolutely,
180
yeah.
days of instruction, yes.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so student engagement, 111. And you had that as
10.1.
10.1. Yeah. Okay, annual recruiting and retention. So then we're gonna go to a different OE.
And then strategic that fell under teacher quality and retention, teacher leadership.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Did
what
you
is,
find it? The one about teacher retention.
Recruiting and retention.
OE4 has to do with personnel administration.
Right.
Selecting the most highly qualified and best suited candidates for all positions based upon experience, assign sufficient staff to meet the needs of each school. That would be OE4.3, OE4.3, or number 3, however you're doing it.
And let me just read the goal. So
Okay.
just give me
Yeah.
one moment. Because we have 2 goals, 3 actually tied to teacher and administrative quality. Okay,
one is just with regard to additional endorsements in literacy, GT, or AP placement.
This talks about credentials and certifications.
Okay.
Okay.
The second goal is targeted at administrators with regard to effective leadership practices, data analysis, aligned to programs for assisting, developing, and evaluating.
Right, and this, again, the same one.
411,
Yeah,
C.
Nice, yeah.
So, 8.1, it becomes 411.
And would 12 go along with that too, David? They
Yeah.
might, you know.
Because we have to do the training
Yeah.
also, so it's
Yeah.
also 12.
So I just realized I technically can't update this till you solidify that.
Right.
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 But you know what, that shouldn't stop that,
It's not gonna stop my presentation
No,
tonight,
no.
but it will, I may not have it
Eventually.
all. Yes, I'm gonna get stopped. I just recognize that.
Eventually.
well,
Yes, sir.
because you're out there in front doing the crosswalk,
Right.
which is
Thank you
great.
very much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And we got so excited when we saw the crosswalk, because it's like, oh, somebody's done a lot of work already for us. And then
But
we started looking at it,
looking
we
at it,
realized
it's
it wasn't,
not,
Yeah.
it's not to where you need to be.
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
close,
Yeah,
certainly the right format.
okay, AE,
And I can't update technically until board approves what you're working on.
Exactly.
right.
That's why I'll be at a stop.
Exactly.
Yes.
but
But
is
I
that
don't
The
think that's,
concept's all
required to
changed.
submit it to the
yeah, I
state?
don't think that should be required to
No.
submit
No,
to the state.
no, so that's
Yeah.
not
Because
it.
Yeah, right, we
Right.
need to get this
Right.
done, I mean,
Yes,
it's
because
just
my goal
a,
is the 17th.
yeah, it's
Right.
just a technical thing,
That,
It-
I'm gonna, this is in as an
Yes.
appendix.
right?
That's all it is, and
Yeah,
it's
just-
defined as a living document.
Yeah.
And can be updated at any time and place, as long as
Yeah.
we recognize that.
Yeah.
It's just to help understand how
Yes.
everything
How
works
everything-
together.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so, the monthly HR status report, 5/2.
It's actually 4.
And I did not write down everything beyond, let's see, 5/2.
5/2 is our old one, so
Oh.
4,
It would be a 4 something.
I did, I think I wrote down OE 412.
4/4, recommending for the board's approval, the employment transfer. Those are just the,
Okay, monthly HR status report, that's what we're looking at?
Mhm.
Okay, 5A,
So it would be-
5A2, retain a highly qualified, yeah, never mind Kathy, I have, 5A3 written down.
so,
That's the old stuff, 5A. Or you're talking about OE5.
Now, we're talking about the current PE 5,
Oh, right.
PE 5A2, which is the next thing on the list, right? Monthly HR status
Mhm.
report.
So it should be 4 or something.
well,
Maybe you'll keep it, yes.
in here, 5/2 was retain a highly qualified and diverse workforce.
Right.
Okay, so on our OE4,
Number 12 is
number
qualified.
3, OE43, select the most highly qualified and best suited candidates for all positions.
Right.
See, that one's gonna be a big one.
Yeah.
You know.
So maybe you wanna work as a team to embed the,
Mhm.
see, to me, monthly HR status report is an action to meet a goal.
Right,
Right.
So,
That's
Well, see-
something you should tell us, we should tell you, we wanna know
Yeah.
what you're doing.
we want
Right.
to, right,
And you tell us, oh,
You-
we'll
how
show you the
you're
monthly
gonna-
report.
it's a, right,
Right.
that's an action to meet a goal.
Right.
So your goal is to maintain highly qualified
Right.
educators. So this action,
right. That should be, when we do these OEs and we give them to Frank,
that's your
then
reporting mechanism.
he's gonna tell us how he's
Exactly.
gonna
It
answer
should
that.
be,
No, it shouldn't be.
No, it's like, that's why, and, cause you got those from the annual work plan,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And there's other ones, 6.7, distributed discipline policy. That,
No.
a distribute, you can't write an IEP that
Yeah.
says distributed discipline, you know, so the wording of that and some of these,
So this
You know.
really, our new wording goes better.
And it's almost like that
it's a
when
result
you-
of-
So that this, that's listed as OE 5.82, technically does not exist, it actually is the one above it, the OE 4.3.
The human resources.
Because we should be reporting to you.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
your,
Yeah, no, we're gonna,
so.
That was part of our.
Somebody's gonna,
Yeah,
Someone's
maybe
gonna
the
report.
next group is going to
gonna
go through
go
and
through
clean up
that,
this
okay.
annual.
so do
you know.
we, it's not on here though, so that, getting back to our thing, do we have to add it to this one?
well, we went through all the PEs, so
We did.
I don't get it. Did we miss that, or did we already eliminate it?
I think maybe we
We already went through all the PEs.
Yeah, I think we just,
So,
we said it was a
Must have
strategy,
eliminated
we
it.
said it was a strategy, not a,
It's not
Yeah.
a goal.
not a,
and
yeah,
we're saying
okay.
the same thing today, so we're consistent.
We're
Right,
consistent.
so I'm removing it out for practice.
All right, okay, 6-1,
Same thing with the strategy.
Same thing.
That needs to be tied to a goal regarding student discipline
And we have
and
one.
student services, or tied to MTSS.
And what did we do with PEs? I got rid of all that stuff, because I thought it was done.
yeah,
I have a check mark next to it, which means it's embedded somewhere.
Somewhere.
I did not write down exactly where, but there's a check mark meaning that it is in.
Instructional.
Provide equal educational opportunity and a safe, helpful, non-discriminatory, and secure environment for all students. And I have a check mark
Well,
meaning.
OE3, look at OE3, the superintendent shall maintain an organizational culture that treats all people, including parents, citizens, and staff with respect, dignity, and courtesy, was that it?
So you have
I wish I'd written it down, guys.
okay, OE 12 is learning environment treatment of students.
OE12,
OE 12. Provide an equal opportunity and a safe, helpful,
Yeah. The wording itself at the top, the superintendent shall establish and consistently enforce discipline policy to maintain safe and effective environments for all students.
that's OE
That's-
11.
Right.
And the title of PE 6 is treatment of students / discipline.
Right.
And so,
That's OE,
So
to
it's
go to
covered.
OE 12. Go to OE 12, the next one.
okay.
That's the title of OE 12.
Oh, and it is the title of OE 12.
what page is OE12 on?
72. Page 72 of 62.
Huh, I can find it, mine are all out of order.
Right.
So it's this,
61.
Yeah, that is, that's probably we have a check mark next to it, meaning that it's
It's
in
in
here.
there.
So PE 6-1 is OE 12.
next page over.
Why am I not finding that in
This one, are you not finding that?
there? No, I can't find page 72. I need to staple these things together, put them together, so when I take them all apart, like this. But you guys have it,
Right. You think it's 12, not 11?
You know what, David, I think that the safe, a learning environment that is safe,
It's not as specific, though, as discipline.
right, so we could say both.
So,
Mhm. Because for OE 6-2, which is not on Mary's list, but OE 6-2, I have OE 12. I'm sorry, let me say that again. For PE 6-2, I have OE 12.
That's fine, okay.
Okay?
okay, I found my
So it's
OE
OE
11,
and 12.
yeah.
I think both would, and the next group or the standing committee might say, let's combine them or something, but.
Yeah, again, what the annual student services report is a a mechanism for reporting, it's not,
It's not a policy.
it's not a policy.
Right.
So 6.7 then, so we won't have anything behind 5.82, the monthly report, because that's a mechanism, and annual student services is a mechanism of reporting. 6.7 would be OE 11 and OE 12. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, but it's distributing of policies.
Well, and I thought we said that, the monthly HR status report, that's a report, and we're gonna, but what it's really dealing with is OE 4.3.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And
3.
6.1 is really dealing with OE 11 and OE 12.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then I have written down for PE 6.7, which is the next one on your list, Mary.
Mhm.
And I have that down as OE 11.3.
0.3 on,
Yep.
all right, but no OE 12.
Well,
No,
when we went through this word,
11.3
which
says ensure that all policies.
are
That's it.
distributed.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So it's a
Gotcha.
direct hit.
that's, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Priorities for 8% projects. That'd be under financial.
Financial or facilities.
7.3.
Making prudent use of debt. I don't know if we have.
I apologize for giving you as a group extra work.
No, this is really
No,
good.
no, no.
It's
It
helpful
helps
to
us.
us, yeah.
Because
It just
Kathy and I
actually
were
clarifies
identifying
some stuff for us.
Yeah,
some things that we know that, Mary, and this just illustrates it, that this came from the annual work plan. If, with this new coherent governance, the annual work plan is going to have to be expanded for, because that's what the oversight is.
Mhm.
And there are many things that were never, some that were just, what was evidence of, like we just said, it's
Well, it was a compliance model.
Right,
being
yeah.
Provided.
right,
right.
compared to, how does this work?
A progressive information. And
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the last one is gonna fall under OE5. Could be number 4.
Priorities for 8% projects.
Financial planning, talking about assumptions, expenditures, budget. I think priorities for 8% projects is part of that.
Could that also fall under, do you have anything that's tied to equity?
Asset protection.
Well, just equity overall.
Equitable?
Yeah, equitable practice so that we're being equitable at our use of our funds for schools.
The priorities are equitable, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
boy, sure, you do feel,
David, what did you think it might have been? OE what? That-
Oh, 5.
Okay, fine.
Financial planning.
That PE 7.1 might be OE 5.
It talks about delineating proposed expenditures by site level, showing amounts spent in each budget category. I think it just generally falls under that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor, I think it's a point well taken, that in a policy,
and it was even discussed at.
Multi-year financial plan,
Yeah.
that's the heading, you know.
Right.
Shall develop and maintain a multi-year financial plan related directly to the results, priorities, and operational expectation goals. So, and that priorities for 8% is a subset of that.
yeah, I would agree, but Mary's point about.
But it actually says it, if you define your priorities as a group, and if your priorities are defined within your core values of equitable practice,
Right.
you're basically saying it.
Right.
The issue that goes with is following it, and that's the magic word,
Yep.
or words.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, but saying it and seeing it in writing are two different things, and so I'm not sure where that is actually expressed in writing.
That an equitable fiscal practice.
Right. Now.
Well, see, this OE
It
is
doesn't-
written by a finance person, not an
Yes,
educator.
exactly. Good point, David. So how about we just make a comment on our notes that, I think that's important, that was greatly discussed in several board meetings about equitable
And
distribution.
it will come back up upon review,
Mhm.
I just want to be conscious of that,
Yeah,
and I think it's an important discussion.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, good input.
anything else.
So it's certainly a discussion point.
So priorities for 8%, are we saying it's still 5 point something or just
Just
5?
five, I just
Just
said
say
five.
5.
Just
Just
five.
go five.
Yeah.
Comes under financial.
And then also, that's so limiting too, 8%,
Yeah.
just 8%.
Yeah, 8% is, as we can see now, it's just part of the whole picture.
It
It
is,
is just
yes,
part of
it's
it,
just part of
It's
it,
no
yeah.
different.
So that whole title,
And
Yeah.
to
Right,
the
right.
finance person, it doesn't make any difference, you're still borrowing the money.
Right.
So the
it's-
question's gonna be, as this goes to board on the 17th, since there's such transition and performance, do you understand?
Mhm.
That's gonna be, in order to get this approved, it may find some challenges for approval because of these OEs have to be approved first. I'm being direct, I'm just,
If you change it. If you
Right,
change
but-
it, I don't think it'll be changed by then,
okay.
because we have to go through this committee, then it has to go through a second committee.
But as
and it
long
has
as
to go
board
through
membership
three readings.
recognizes that.
We will try to explain it to.
Yeah, so you're just gonna keep it with the
I'm-
PEs the
I'm
way
gonna
it is
keep-
You
now.
I'm
have to
gonna-
You're
deal
gonna
with
keep
what
those.
is.
I have
In
to-
fact, I
right,
would
but this is
take out those OEs
Okay.
and put PE, so
Got-
that
then
they
you
don't,
can see that.
yeah,
Or PEs,
because if
right.
we,
Yeah,
I
but
got you,
yeah,
Yep.
yes,
yeah.
Yep.
yes. I will change it to that and I'll keep
Yeah.
this as my back door.
Yeah.
Document, yes,
There might
ma'am.
be.
Okay?
Yeah, and we'll give you what we're doing as we're
What,
doing it.
yes, once it's,
Okay.
because we
Yes.
gotta go in and change it.
Right, right.
It
Okay?
doesn't exist till the board.
Mary, before you go, can I ask you a
goes through
question?
But I do have a question, I need
Yeah.
a name from someone from Beaufort High, Rodriguez just called me, a student,
Okay, all right.
to try to
So,
help out. Yes, ma'am.
so when looking, and I apologize that I had a family thing I had to attend during the work session, so I didn't hear your presentation on
Yeah.
Friday. So I'm sorry for that, because, so this might be a redundant question. All right, okay, so this is our answer. This is the annual update to the current strategic plan that the state requires.
So it is the current required strategic plan, it is a rewrite of the one that was from 2014.
So,
Um,
but this is, in reality, this is an update of the results.
Yes,
This is an
yes,
updated results.
yes.
It is not a rewrite of the strategic plan.
These types of things.
No, it's
These
not,
stay the same?
this is, they're two different worlds.
Okay.
Technically, they're one world, but they're two different worlds, they should be aligned,
Right.
conceptually, and I actually started to.
Because
Yeah,
Mary,
we
these
look as an umbrella.
PEs come right from the strategic plan. Did I do that
Yes.
right, Joe?
Yes, so
Yes,
the
ma'am, I'm
strategic
just
plan
writing
is the
down
top of
my
the
notes.
umbrella, I bring it back, right, your
Yep.
plan, right, and all the spokes to the umbrella would be your PEs,
Right.
Yeah.
right, that's what's supporting everything.
Well,
Right, and-
actually, they are worded directly from the strategic plan.
Yes, but they still support it.
Right.
They come, it's all, right,
Right.
and then the handle, basically, all the actions we're doing to make this all happen, right? So, yes, but I was working from the documents of what, prior to formulating.
Right, so if I may, when we are looking at our strategic governance policy manual, which we received when we became new board members, okay?
Okay.
And in this policy manual, oh, thank you, David drew his picture, which was very helpful this
Okay.
time. All right, so in this manual, there are 5 sections,
Mm-hmm.
okay? There was the mission,
Mhm,
strategic
mhm.
plan. So the strategic plan itself is laid out with, one, your quality indicators, which is your advanced ed,
Right, yes.
okay? And then the
And you need to make sure that these are from the 2018 quality indicators, not the 2011, because that was a gap that I identified when I first read these.
Okay, so we would have no idea about that.
And that hasn't been, so
All right, I guess-
this has not been changed.
Since
Okay.
2014. This
So-
is,
So these are of the 2011, okay.
okay?
So
Okay.
the 5-year plan, that whole thing would be changed if
That's
we
what
were
we're asking.
adopting the new 5-year plan.
But we're not. We are
Right.
just updating this 2014 to 2019 strategic plan. But not the narrative. We are updating, hold on, this,
The results.
correct?
All right, so there's 2 things.
Okay. Maybe,
Your 2014 plan was based on 2011 state accreditation
got it,
crosswalk.
okay. Makes sense.
That was updated, that document was updated in 2018, not by us, by the accreditation.
Sure, advanced ed,
By
right?
Advanced Ed.
Right,
I would recommend that that should have been a tool that you're looking at, because when I looked at Advanced Ed and looked at our PEs, there was disconnect.
sure. So.
Now, but the answer is yes, that this document is based on everything you just said. The answer to that is yes. I did not update, change anything from Advanced Ed 2018.
Okay, so when,
So it is an update, the answer to that is yes, that is an update.
yes, with data and how, looking at everything that was in the strategic plan and how are we progressing toward our goal, right? With data and also some narrative.
Yes.
Now, at what point, since our 5-year strategic plan expired in 2019, we got the waiver
Yes.
to act for 1 more year. When do we create the new, entirely new 5-year plan? Or do we just keep doing updates?
I did not rewrite this book.
I don't blame you. I mean,
I don't mean disrespect.
you were told by the state, you just had to update it, right?
And that was that one was updated just by data.
Right.
So we can have a compliant model,
Right,
so that the state could say Beaufort County School District has a plan in. Check.
yeah, and when was
Okay.
that done?
That was done and approved by the board when I first came on board in September.
Right, so that
Okay.
was the,
So now this would be our next window,
mhm,
5-year window, technically it's a year behind. Should have been 2018. This is, they wanted a new plan written.
an entirely new plan, not just an update, even though, and maybe, I'm so sorry if I'm using the wrong words.
Well,
but at the
because for me,
begin-
I didn't base anything in here off the prior plan. We started fresh at writing, based on listen and learn.
Right,
That's how the objectives were defined and the data that was pulled, the executive summary, everything in here is it may be similar in the sense because we're required to do student achievement, teachers and administrators, and climate and GT are the 4 characteristics necessary to meet the requirement for a strategic plan from a district level.
once this is approved, this is the plan for the next 5 years.
No,
No,
it can be amended annually.
well, it has to be amended.
Right, it has to be reviewed, and at that review, you make amendments.
Right, so how long before you have to rewrite the entire thing? It's given for 5 years,
Every
right?
5 years you should read
So
it.
this will be 2019-20, so the next time that the whole thing has to be redone is 24-25.
Yes.
Okay,
I won't be on the board then, so, who updates this? You said it's
that's what
outdated.
this is now.
That's what
This is replacing that?
That's the question. I'm trying to get to the question.
That's what I'm trying-
Technically, it should be.
Technically, they should be aligned so that when accreditation comes, all they have to look at is say X is Y. So one of the first things, I don't have it with me, it is I sent it probably in August or September, so.
So, while you're looking at that, the 2018 new advanced ed guidelines or template, for lack, or whatever it might be, is going to look different than this 2011.
There's a few that are truncated. We actually
Okay.
had a brief discussion at this at academic committee, when I first showed a crosswalk.
Yeah, but now it's,
And we
now
were
I'm trying to,
referencing, yes, everything should be together.
I agree, and that's where I'm trying to put it in my head, how it's,
Yeah, I'm still,
yeah,
loading,
oh
so it's
yeah,
gonna be a
good
while.
luck.
I guess we don't recognize.
So how could we, should we look at those 2018 advanced ed and just see if there's any additions that are here or anything? Is that work that would be helpful? I mean, if we got them and then just looked at this,
That's work that would be helpful, but I don't think it's this committee's.
it's not, yeah, okay.
Hi, Robin, go ahead.
So when you're looking at that and what you said you've gotten from the Listen and Learn, that document that you all were given came out of town halls and then it was divided, or as you call from Listen and Learn, because we,
This, yes.
Okay,
Back in 2011.
back in 2011. so-
2013, to
Whatever.
create the 2014 to 2019 five-year strategic plan.
So the last time
That is actually right out of advanced ed.
right, but that document
Yes,
came
okay.
where we had community people
Okay,
who came in and they divided it out between academics, HR, operations, whatever, and student services. And that document was developed from community input, advanced ed.
Oh, you know what, are you saying that all of this, though, really is the work of the advanced ed, and it's here for us to, know where these things came from? I mean, these,
Those quality indicators
Indicators.
are right from advanced ed, verbatim. However,
yeah.
but the,
Let Robin,
Yeah.
are you
No,
done?
no, 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 go
Okay.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
but the sub ones are what came out of the community
Sure,
input.
sure,
Right.
look
What
at
they
the
did-
sub ones.
But I don't know, what they did is what they did was combine them, so that the advanced ed and community documents were all in one place, because they need to mirror together. Does that make sense?
So like where it says indicator one, that's not an advanced ed statement?
So read out, indicator one is the same as indicator one.
Yeah.
Okay, the ones below it, the sub objectives,
How we're
are
gonna
what
meet this
was
indicator
created.
one, got it.
My understanding
actions.
Yes.
is
Those are the
what is
actions.
Beaufort County School District created to say, how are we going to make this quality indicator number one happen?
Got
And
it.
how will we know that we have done that?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And so it is from those, Kathy, that
The PEs
our
were
PEs
written.
are aligned such that, like PE number one will be purpose and, well, it's not exactly, because I noticed that the numbers didn't line up.
Yeah.
And something else is.
Okay.
And then it was also a combination of what they tried to do is piece the original, the original plan and added to the advanced ed, if I'm saying that correctly.
So what I've seen in what Mary's given us, I'm not sure I see feedback in each of these indicator areas. That was based on what we're looking at here, most of your feedback is.
We took the feedback from community and aligned it to the state requirement for writing the strategic plan.
And the state requirement for four areas.
Our 4 areas: student achievement, teacher and administrative quality, GT, and gifted and talented.
Student achievement, teacher, what was it? GT, which is,
Gifted and talented.
right,
Climate.
climate, okay.
Nowhere in your prior strategic plans do you have a crosswalk of advanced ed.
I believe.
Your prior strategic plan did not have it. I read it.
Oh, in the strategic plan. But
In the
we-
strategic plan that was submitted into GEMS.
But we have it in the
But you-
PEs, it was written
Right.
advanced ed.
I'm,
Yeah,
Can I just add something real quick because we're talking about a lot of historical knowledge and this is going to be really useful in future years. And there's a page in that binder that we have that we were given that says introduction and it gives kind of some of that background information. I'm wondering if we need to update that or maybe input some of that information to the introduction that Tricia wrote. And also add something in there that says when the anticipated, updated 5 years is supposed to be done.
Oh, to put some, dates in there, that's, yeah.
I think it would be useful
Yeah.
if board members know, okay, listen, in 2020, they did, this is what was done. because God knows what's going to happen to any of us, and say,
So,
and this is anticipated to be revised by future or in 2024, 25. So that's known,
Yeah.
and we're putting it out there for future.
That's, yeah, because we have talked a lot about different dates. So Mary,
so,
when you see this, where's it, like PE one, right? 1-1, district, regional, that's just being us.
okay,
District-
but just for clarification, what was required from the state is not all of this.
Right, that's what,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
what was that?
I just have to put clarification, what is required from the state
For the
is not
annual update, right?
all of it.
No,
Or
This is our operation as a district,
Mhm.
right? But what is required by the state is not by any means, it is really as simple as
As that.
this document.
So when's the next accreditation strategic plan due?
That would be tied to the next accreditation, I think we have a 2 or 3 year window for that.
So even though it's typically a
What I
5,
was trying to get to.
go ahead, Rachel.
They
Yeah,
are not
that's what I was
aligned,
trying to get to was the accreditation part, because
Right.
I don't think that's something, I mean, me as a new board member, and, Tricia, you might know better about this because you're a former educator and everything, but that's something that's totally new and foreign to me, that whole concept. So I think that it would be useful to have that information in the introduction area.
so the accreditation, my understanding is either 2 or 3 years that we're up for that again, and that includes looking at our certification. It looks at the instructional master board doing confirmation with regard to what is in our power school, to do confirmation of our credits, our grade orders, that whole accreditation process is different than the state plan. And I don't believe that's up for maybe another 3 years. I think the district went through it almost 2 years ago, because I just signed off on confirmation on the certification component of that with HR. We're just finishing doing that review again, that annual review. Because I had 2 people in my department that was questionable on their certification. One is just meeting and one is just completing. But that was not a requirement for the state.
so this, I think,
And
is
that
the, this is
about-
the
that is-
requirement, this is what came out of the advanced ed certification.
Because when you pull up advanced ed,
Yeah.
and let me send this document to you, although it has other stuff in it. Let me send this first, so we're just looking at the same thing. Give me 1 moment. Now, to take to where you're going, Tricia, to align it to that, the answer to that is yes, as an operational document for us. But to take it to the state requirement to meet this, yeah.
It's a whole different animal then, right? Yeah. No, I mean, there should be,
Then it goes to the point, that, the plan you had in 2014, that was reviewed, there was nothing in there tied to it as well. I even have the summary, I had it typed up for you. Ada has that it takes the performance goals and the strategies that were identified. I do have a copy that I can get for each of you. Does not go into advanced ed at all. Now, accreditation is a different, whole different scenario. Let me just send you. Now, I don't know if that was when, that Robert had referenced that they had hired a consultant for that to do the accreditation. Was the accreditation done through the district?
a facilitator came, right?
Yes.
And
That was, the ex-superintendent of Charleston.
Jarita pulls away.
Yep.
She did the strategic plan or the accreditation?
She did the strategic
Strategic plan.
The,
And is that come from 2014?
the last,
Yeah, sounds right.
yes.
if you go on our
That
district,
is not right, but this is what I have. I
The
have the state.
accreditation was done not by Jarita. Jarita came and walked through.
And did this plan or
I've never,
That came out of, that
What she
will take
did.
what she did.
right?
Which we have been told is called the strategic plan.
And that is the strategic plan.
The state required strategic plan?
No, and
No,
I think.
let me go get you the prior one.
No,
I just sent it across.
Tell you also, I've never seen that before.
This is all that my office has worked, and this is what this, we've been told by state is required.
Okay,
And
this
I
is
think-
why we had a definitional section
Right.
Yeah.
in the
Right.
policy
Yeah.
manual.
Right,
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
We
Why
need it.
we need a
We
definitional
sure
section.
do.
Because there's all these different strategic plans.
Right.
The diagram, I think, has to change because now accreditation feeds into the strategic
It
plan.
does.
And the state requires strategic plan feeds into it, right, which is that. Somebody has to be responsible for changing that, because that's no longer apparently
No
what we
longer,
want.
yeah,
So
we
I
have a
don't
new
really
one.
wanna spend too much more time on figuring out how that came to be, because it's
It's
gonna
done.
go away.
Yeah.
It's
It's
gotta go
gonna,
away.
it's not right.
Well, that's what we talked about, and so
Right.
the PEs could have all changed, but for me, the new understanding today is that's not what Mary's working on.
Right.
Right.
Which is a different feed, that's a different feed into what we've been calling strategic plan. We've gotta get different names for these things.
We do.
Yes.
Where state
I know.
requires strategic plan and the district's 5-year strategic plan or something. You have to get, I'll try a diagram, try to get this straightened out.
I can get.
But
because-
we're not gonna rewrite that book.
No.
We're not gonna rewrite this, we're not gonna rewrite any of that. We're just trying now to
But the board approves that.
align results with the strategic plan. Is that the task we're on?
Right, and those, I guess, that new thing, the state strategic plan that she's submitting is what I think we should be aligning to. Because that's how things are, if we're, okay, if this is our plan and we have to submit it every year to see if we're making progress on the plan to the state, you would think that our work would wanna make sure we're supporting that plan, correct?
I agree. We shouldn't have two strategic plans.
I can't say with certainty whether or not we need to add components from that certification thing or accreditation thing.
Well, we have to meet that every year though, and it's,
Yeah, the state requirements, but then I think that there's probably components within that strategic plan that have to do with accreditation that we can't.
right, I agree. I agree. I agree. They both seem to be feeding the strategic plan. But they seem to be disparate because you have one part of the organization is focused on the state, and that binder is focused on advanced ed. But that's the way it looks. That's a problem that's gonna have to be resolved, but I don't know that the committee's gonna, this committee,
Right.
I don't think it's gonna resolve that, but it's something we need to point out, which I think is what Rachel was trying to say. We need to write up these things we found. These are problems.
Yeah.
We're not gonna solve them, but they're problems.
For the other board members, that's, I mean, that'll make people go cross-eyed trying to understand all this, that we've been, going over. So I think it's really important that we're as clear as possible in what our findings were, so that the work of the standing committee is guided by that.
Yep. I will
Well-
try to make that a coherent parking lot item. Somebody's gotta that's gotta be updated, because it's out of
Yes.
date. And somehow we got to resolve these two different strategic
But
plans,
gosh,
the
we
way we
don't-
talk about it.
We don't wanna, I mean, we don't wanna hold up the whole development of the, new policy manual by that, do we?
I don't think the policy manual is gonna be of any value if we don't do it. If we don't get this stuff lined up,
Oh, we're gonna be right back here.
then we'll be right back here, or somebody will be back here in a couple of years saying, we need to revisit the fundamentals because we've drifted away from them. That's my initial feeling about it. All this stuff has to be made easier.
So this is, anyway, you don't need this. So your prior strategic plan that was required, this is the edited version because I went through it in detail. This is the one that was done prior, and we put the data in it to meet our non-compliance. This is the only strategic plan I'm familiar with. One, They don't look anything alike.
Jada did this, under Dr. Rose, Jada's the one who
And we have
completed
that
this.
stuff, right.
Jada.
Ex-
Well, she's
And
the
what
one
we've
who
determined is,
downloaded it. She didn't
we have a
actually,
problem which this
she
committee
just
is
downloaded it.
gonna note
So where does
but
she
not
download
solve,
from?
where we have two feeds into what we've been calling the strategic plan. We have advanced ed and we have the state requirements. They're two disparate
Two
things.
different, totally
Yes.
different.
And we keep saying strategic plan, but
Right,
we
but-
need to come up with different words.
So, this is a state required document, state required document. This is just summary of your prior state required document, just on an FYI.
That's a summary of what?
Of your prior strategic plan, state required documents. Okay, and now goes into GEMS. So when you go into GEMS to write your strategic plan,
And what does GEM stand for?
that I don't know.
The
I don't-
government, something
Yes,
probably.
it's probably the government educational
Management.
management system.
Makes sense.
Okay, these are the required areas, that's it.
Okay, so Mary, I need a flow chart. David, you're working on that,
We're
right?
gonna
Some,
work on it.
Right, so,
yeah.
Now, when
The
did they
history
do
was
the
they
last
sat down with that,
accreditation?
they didn't sit down with the
That's
state
what was
requirements.
under Derek.
so that was under Derek did an accreditation.
Yes.
That is this document.
We did the accreditation
And
and the
strategic
strategic plan,
plan.
because they were
Right.
combined together
But
in that
this is
one
what was
document.
submitted to the state, okay.
Yes.
Right. So that is a combination of the accreditation and the
right.
strategic plan
'Cause
that
this
was
is
put
what
together.
Is
And
that
that's a good thing,
Right,
it's
Okay.
a good thing, because that makes it one, but that's out of date.
Now,
Correct.
Yes.
that's just
That's
summary of this
definitely out of date.
document.
That's out of
okay,
date and
so
has to be
we no
updated.
longer have 5 goals from the state
Yeah.
that we have to answer? Because
Yeah.
this one says school
Burden
climate,
tax,
you said,
School climate is
resources aligned needs.
Not,
as a
now,
goal to
that is identifying your needs assessment, and you have to talk about it in your executive summary,
Okay,
but it is not, they are not a required performance goals this time.
okay. Performance goal 3 was teaching and assessment, we got that one still. Performance goal 4 was, CIM process assessment.
Continuous improvement model, which should now be embedded within
This
practice.
in practice. And performance goal 5 was district operates under forbearance for students. We follow the law, basically. So those were the 5 areas
That's
before.
that, well, I don't know the,
Well, that's,
all right, I
It's
can
a
give you
summary.
from, that's a summary,
Yes.
because that's a summary that I took from here, because in here, we were required school climate. Yes, resources and support systems from advanced ed, it is not a requirement in
and the one we have now.
the one we have now, okay? That was just an alignment tool. Document and using results for continuous improvement, showing that governments and learning, gifted and talented, and
Okay, since we know that advanced ed strategic plan is out of date and it ended in 2019, what's replacing that?
This.
That's not advanced ed, that's state.
yes. If you're pointing to this, I'm sorry, Trish,
Yes.
or this.
No,
That
this.
I don't know, I don't have the
understand, that's what I was-
timeline on that, that's why I don't have
So
the
that,
timeline.
that 5-year strategic plan that ended at the end of
Rhodes, when did he do
Rhodes.
it? When did he do that?
in 2014 to 2019.
Yes.
And then we should have another accreditation coming.
That's my
That's
my
your point.
question.
Right.
Is so when is that new
I
5?
have not received any
It was
notification.
like in 2 or 3 years.
You just
I
said,
thought
yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
was told 2 or 3 years when I checked with my team earlier. I have not received
And so-
anything
And anything about us getting
So
reapproved.
maybe there is that we just don't know about, but, you know, that's,
Yeah, don't take me wrong, these are the files that I received.
no, oh,
in my
Mary,
office.
no, this is just trying to get, my
I'm
concern is
with
this.
you.
My
That's why
concern,
the
is that-
crosswalk I sent you was what I tried to get, I sent you something electronically to look at.
Yeah.
Rather, let me send it to you. Trying to get a grasp at,
so Mary, this is my concern, all
okay?
right? And remember, my information, my understanding could be so wrong, all right? We operated under a 5-year strategic plan that started the process in 2013. It was created and adopted for 2014 to 2019. So we are no longer within that 5-year window. When
when you or Frank or maybe even Dr. Berg said that we were going to get a waiver for a year,
My
you were
understand-
referring to the state strategic plan. But my
Not to our
concern,
accreditation, right.
so are we accredited?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
and we weren't.
Yeah,
we're
accredited.
We're accredited.
So when does that new 5-year strategic plan, it gets sent to advanced ed or
I
they
have
come?
no timeline on that right
Okay,
now. Normally,
and I understand why you wouldn't, Mary. This is such
I
good
know-
conversation to
I
have.
have zero timeline on that.
Got it.
But
I
normally,
don't, and I'll be direct, I don't even have a file of documentation from the 2014.
You know, look, it was online. I mean, I still
understand
had a
that I would have
picture
the
on
working
there.
papers and everything,
Right.
there's nothing. The only thing I have were these
Yeah.
files.
That was
Who-
working with the combination between Jim Foster's, the communications office, the board, and your office with Dr. Rhodes.
yes,
Yes.
but we never filed one, of course, last year we didn't file.
Right, but I'm saying that
That
document
this.
right here,
Yes.
that came out of communications, Dr. Rhodes, and the
Mhm.
board.
Yes.
So that's how that document in front of you was created.
Mhm.
So Mary, the meeting that you're having tonight for the strategic plan, that you asked for community and parent input,
Mhm.
is not the same as the community and parent input that went into that strategic plan.
No, because none of that was required in this document.
Right, got it? I mean, it's all,
None of that.
the
Right.
sands are parting, the
Now,
way
the
the
goal
water's
was,
parting.
when information was brought in, was to try to align with what I already had, your PEs, to try to keep that as aligned as possible. Understanding that if we wanted to take this document to go further with it, that was the goal. But this document did not require the detail that is associated with the accreditation.
Mhm.
Okay, so then that's just the next question then is when, and we have been operating on that strategic plan, Mary, the one that's in our,
Which makes sense.
Right.
Right, it makes sense where you pulled and
Right.
taken, that makes sense.
Right.
Because there was no prior mention in the state required of PEs.
got it,
There's nothing in here in that relationship.
got it. Makes sense?
PEs came out of
So
that
to-
document that we
Right,
created.
did not come from, but there was not even crosswalk or mention of PEs in the state required, although accreditation is state required,
Mhm.
but advanced ed is the recipient point for that because there was nothing in here.
Right.
I was trying to add that to it.
Yeah.
Is there any document work papers from when they did that? No,
I don't have it,
okay.
because that
I'll
was
have
done
some-
with Jerry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You have it?
I have
You
just
have-
my section that I did. There's a lot of paperwork associated.
Yeah.
I know Jerry and Carmen were the two that, Jerry, Carmen, and Bonnie. In her old position.
So is it possible to ask either of them to come down here?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
This is, well, so
Jerry's meeting with,
Mr. Reverend Moore's wife.
Right.
Is Carmen there?
Oh,
Her light is
yes.
on. Ask Carmen to come down.
Could we just briefly have Robert speak with us since he has another meeting at 3:00? And it would be very brief, but this is with regard to what we were talking about in our last meeting. Our last subject was about facilities. And we were discussing, and that is why we included the procurement summary for you all. So Robert, if you could just basically
Well, I
talk about
believe-
Michelle and Shell Knox and what we need to do to.
The one question, or one thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention that drew a little concern to me, when Wendy brought this to my attention, and this is out of the board governance policies, OE 13.
Start on page
facilities.
74.
Yeah, it starts on page 74. And the one item I want to bring to your attention, and it's on page 75. Actually, I'm sorry, it's on page 76.
Now, yeah.
Item 1, the superintendent shall not. And item 1 says, all right, it originally says authorize construction schedules and change orders that will significantly reduce quality. Added to that was and/or extend timeline for completion. I just want to make everybody aware that our contract with our contractors has in it sections for the extension of time. And under certain criteria, they're contractually allowed to ask for extension of time. My concern here is if you're not granting the superintendent to authorize that, we're contractually obligated to authorize it, but you're saying the superintendent can't do it. In that case, the contractor could say at that point, they could ask for an extension of time. We could say if timing's not, we have to bring that back to the board for approval. If timing is not right, the contractor could say, okay, well, we're done. We're off the job and you'll see my lawyer. And we would be in deep trouble because we would not have much to stand on. So I'm just giving you a heads up that what you're putting in your policy goes against the language in our contracts with our contractors.
But we really aren't just saying we should really.
Unless that
finish
is
it,
not your
reduce-
intention.
We would
Let me-
reduce
Can we not
quality
recognize
and
it?
finish that period.
I'm just saying,
The
so,
contract says they can ask for it.
correct.
Yes.
And
Policy
it's,
says it is talking about approving it, so it's two
Well-
different things.
well, the policy says, yes, but it does give criteria where yet they can ask for it. Let me read you the way the contract language. So, let me pull that up. So there's all this, the contract language that allows for claims for additional time.
76. Yeah.
And so claims for extension of time because of inclement weather shall be granted only when such inclement weather prevents the execution of major items of normal day work. So it gives criteria where it is supposed to be granted, and contractually, we typically work with our contractors and they know that we don't typically allow extensions of time and they typically don't ask for it, but contractually, they actually are able. There's a criteria, we say that they have to allow for 5 days of inclement weather, but beyond that, if they can prove that inclement weather impeded their construction, they have the ability contractually to ask for that. Now, you could say, yes, we could decline that. So let's just say, like right now, we're actually, all this rain is putting us behind schedule for May River. They could ask for that. We could then decline it, and they could, of course, pull off the job. And then just recognize, so yes, you're putting that on the board. It could be a time sensitive, I would say any lawyer would say that you do not want that. But we can bring in a lawyer, I think is what your next thing is. If you're gonna ask me to bring in a lawyer to give some
No.
No,
guidance.
no, we
I'm
talked
just
to
trying
Vic
to
Callaghan.
clarify.
We talked to
I'm
Vic
just trying to
Callaghan
clarify.
on Friday.
Because I know I know what the intent of this is. I just want to make sure that we have an accurate picture. They can ask for a time extension. And this says,
This says the superintendent shall not grant it.
right, and so that's the essence of it.
Can I?
Rachel?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Rachel.
I apologize, I'm in my car, so I don't have the papers right in front of me, but I believe that the intention when we wrote that was, and I think there was language in there for significant, changes or
What does it
whatnot.
say? Yes, it says
That would significantly reduce quality
And
or extend
I
timeline.
believe it was, the timeline or whatnot, and I think that the language of without board approval was supposed to be in there. So just in going to that, I think if we're talking about a few days for inclement weather, that's one thing, and I wouldn't necessarily under any type of even any standard think that a couple days of weather would signify significant time changes.
We don't have significant in there right now.
Well, the way it states, I'll read the sentence out. So it says,
Significantly reduced.
authorize construction schedules and change orders that will
Yeah.
significantly reduce quality and/or extend timeline for completion. So the way I read that, there's two things the superintendent can't do. He cannot change due to reduction, significantly reduce quality, which that's a loosey-goosey thing that's hard to define. And the second thing he cannot do is extend timeline for completions.
Right.
So if you take the first part out, let's just say and set that aside, if you read the sentence without it, it would say authorize the superintendent shall not authorize construction schedules and change orders that will extend timeline for completion.
So I think what Rachel is saying is if we put significant in there, would that,
I think, yeah,
would that
that's what
result?
I mean, I don't like it, just 'cause what does that mean?
Attached to both the reduction and the extension. So if we need to add significant in there twice, I think that would be sufficient. But also I don't hear the language of, board approval in there, and I think board approval needs to be in there.
And I
Let's
need
be
to,
clear that we're not saying he should never do it, we're just saying that he needs board approval, or at least to come to the board with it.
And that's what I'm saying is I'm greatly concerned about just the way our contracts are written. That means we cannot honor the contract without coming to the board.
Versus giving the.
Or you couldn't write contracts like that anymore.
Right, yeah, we have to
the
change our
contracts that
contract.
we've got right now, if that were the case, then we could be in a lot of trouble because the contractor could walk off the job and then we have to pay those damages and we don't wanna do that. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out is that what I left it contained here is a procurement overview. And in the current procurement policy, which talks about super approval and authorizations as required in the procurement code, it says, change orders which do not significantly change the scope of the project or exceed the budget authorized by the board may be executed by the superintendent or designee without prior approval. Because what we have here is talking about change orders that significantly reduce quality, which I think is hard to understand, and then this about authorizing cumulative change orders that cause the cost of construction projects to exceed the approved budget, or that will be in excess of 5% of the awarded price for new construction and 5% for renovations. I'm wondering if we should just, cite to the procurement code here.
I mean, it sounds
Because he
like,
has that, the superintendent has that authority, it's in the procurement code.
in my mind, I would not recommend this language just in the way we do the construction world works. And also it goes against our procurement code. And second, it sounds like you're the board, and you need to know what's going on. If you know what's going on and the superintendent's not doing what you want, you deal with that. That's it. You're now hand-tying the superintendent, hand-tying our contracts in a way that could really negatively impact the school district.
Well, can I just say one thing real quick? We're not hand-tying anybody right now because this has to go to 3 readings, so nothing is adopted as of right now.
Well, yeah.
So contracts that are currently in play, this is definitely good information, and we need to make sure things align. But also, when it comes to projects and things like that, I think it's very prudent of us to be sure that we are getting reportings and hearing about things in advance of, and not, too late down the line. And that's the purpose of the policies that we're looking at putting into place.
No, let
She does not just.
her talk. So, no, but I appreciate y'all allowing me to come and bring this to your attention. I just want to point it out. And, for the most part, well, I'll say, so that's kind of one of the purposes of the clock. We're a report, and the operations committee, either one. We are reporting last night to the clock on what's going on, and we'll, I assume, report next week to the operations committee on what's going on. So there are methodologies in place to should find out what's going on with the schedule. And then again, if you're not finding out what's going on in construction, then, that's the responsibility of the superintendent, and you would act accordingly. Who would then act accordingly on the person that...
Right. The target of this is to be proactive.
Right.
To know when there's still time to change it. So the wording is incompatible with procurement code. That's intolerable. It can't conflict with the procurement
Right.
code.
So we could put the
So-
language that's in the procurement code, or whatever you all want.
Well,
But we don't want to change our procurement code because
We don't want to change the procurement code because then we gotta go through
we
the
have to,
state.
we sure do, yeah, and then we'll have to totally redo it.
I mean, and if
We'll be
you
subject
add-
to the model.
This
procurement.
You
committee
add
is
the
not
word-
gonna change the procurement code.
No, we are not gonna do
It's
that.
enough that we're doing this manual.
I know,
Right.
that's right.
I would say if you add the word significant,
Right.
it gives some flexibility, but I personally don't like, that's a loosey goose, what defines significant?
Right.
So you get yourself in trouble if
Right.
one person perceives something as significant and another
Well,
person doesn't.
all of this is up to reasonable interpretation.
Right.
And he has to, the
That's
superintendent.
why, how we keep lawyers.
Well, again, yeah, and then if it's not significant, then he's the one responsible for it.
Right, so we'll add the word significant, we'll point out that,
Significantly extend, okay.
and that brings it in line with the procurement code or not?
Well, in number two on page 76, it says, authorize cumulative change orders that will cause the cost of construction projects to exceed the budget or in excess of 5%. That's not in this procurement code.
But is it
The
prohibited?
procurement code says, change orders which do not significantly change the scope of the project.
Okay, we're saying that this,
Yeah.
that these percentages significantly change.
Well, you
We're
define,
Defining significant.
I was gonna say, you as a policy say that we have to bring anything that is what, 1% or
5% of the
400,000?
price, or, that one.
Anything that's over 400,000, we bring to you. So that is kind of what you defined as, in my mind, significant. So you have a definition on when we bring things to you for approval. So I would do that wording the same, because then it jives. And that's kind of defining, in my mind, significant.
So how did we miss that when we moved it? We substituted this for that, because we took all the existing PEs and put them in here.
Well, you added to this, is that
I
right?
think this was from
We
Lori
changed
County
the
too.
wording.
Yeah, we had things from Lori
To
County.
try to make sure that it reflected what the PE was saying. All right, so we're gonna have to revisit this
Yeah.
because it violates the
Yeah.
procurement.
Thank you for
Yeah.
letting me
Oh, okay, thanks for pointing it out.
put that up.
No.
Better to have the conversation
I
now.
just wanted to, when we met
Thank you.
this time, I asked Mr. Murphy, because something didn't seem right to me, so I appreciate him providing this information for us. And also, I just wanna make sure we do it right.
Oh,
And
I
that
hope
you are
everything-
comfortable, you know?
I hope that all the departments.
I'm glad
look at
somebody-
this and say,
Someone's making sure we're doing this right.
that's-
Okay,
keep
OE
on that.
13, the superintendent shall not, 1 and 2, we'll have to do something
Right.
that's
Okay,
a part.
okay, thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is parking lot.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, that's for us to do.
Yeah.
This is something this committee, we're not gonna rewrite that manual.
No, sir.
But somebody's gotta write up all this stuff, like Rachel said,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
understand it.
That's a consultant from Charleston.
And how all the pieces fit together, so I can draw a diagram. I'll try to draw a diagram. I'm not sure how well I am.
And I will try to put something together that kind of delineates all of this.
Department's here to.
Yeah.
I'm-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Department may have some
the thing
insufficient.
I walked away with was, what's in that manual is the way it should be done. It's a combination of it being a state and a state requirement, but it hasn't been updated.
This is what we're talking about.
Okay.
But it
So,
hasn't been updated
you-
since, right, since the being a state changed.
And I know it recently changed to
2018.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
needs to be updated.
so,
The question at large, Carmen, is that this strategic plan that is due in April 30th, okay? Which document is it? A or B?
it's based on the plan that the state has given us to, with the different components to complete.
So then, document B, which, when was that created and for the purpose of?
I don't recall, I mean, it's been a few years, but I can't tell you exactly when it was
Okay.
Can you
created.
pull that up?
Wow,
Can you pull
that-
that up in the district website? I believe it refers to it as the district strategic plan.
It is the district strategic plan.
From,
that
for
was-
2014, 2019. It is, and we are now in 2020.
That's what we worked at, when Dr. Rose was here, and we had the different departments, we had HR, we had finance, and they brought in the committee, and each, we had a group that came
Right.
together.
Right,
The advanced ed documents were put into that so that it could be advanced ed. I don't know what part of the state strategic plan, and commentation from community saying, you know, we wanna see this in our plan, we wanna see that. So that they took language and put it together to combine what you did with listening and learning. It's like, okay, that matches here, that matches there. That became a document, that we consolidated with advanced
which is now called, something begins with a C, I can't think of the name of it now, they've changed it.
We're gonna rename everything. But the community input comes through the state strategic plan, is that not? Wasn't that one of the
That
things?
is part of the
So
component
community input
requirements,
comes
yes.
through that plan.
Mhm.
But it also did for that one.
Yeah,
But in the olden days,
Maybe
they did it with advanced ed also.
the
But
event,
it has a channel through the state strategic plan. So when you do the listen learns, you're funneling that through the state strategic plan.
yes.
Yes.
This
that's the
originally
basis.
used advanced ed and brought community input through that way. So that's a little different channel. I'm just trying to figure out where we're gonna go, because if we're gonna try to mimic what was done in the past, we'd have to have a whole nother set of listen and learns with advanced ed included after it gets updated.
So Carmen, when was the last accreditation completed? Are we up in 2 or 3 years is what I?
I think we're up in a couple of years. I'm trying to remember. It must have been, so it should be, it's probably coming up in the next year or two,
But
yeah.
I was told
couple
2 or
of
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and so,
And I see where you're going, because when you go into 2018, this document, that was my lunch, Mrs. Sherwood, I'm sorry. Yeah. This document is not there, it is exactly what's, it's open to.
right, and
Right.
see,
Versus though, if you go to the state website and pull up, can you go into state?
I don't have my computer.
Yeah, but actually,
okay, so
if
if
you
you
now
go
later
to
on,
state,
if you sign in,
this is the one
you can sign in.
right,
that is on our website, strategic plan.
yes,
which
it's
is
this
that
one, yes ma'am.
Which is
Yes,
from,
ma'am.
is
I'm with
from
you.
what year, 2014?
Well, actually, there's a few, there's a few links.
You know, I have to pull it up.
There's a
from
few
the
links that are
chat.
strange, so
Okay.
that's a whole other
Yeah,
conversation.
let me check.
Because,
Do it that way. I may have to, this is
Yeah,
just down
this
the
is
hallway, let me
actually
just
accreditation.
grab it real quick. Hang on a second, I was
That is
over
accreditation.
in early childhood, just a second. This might be
that's
easier.
exactly what that
I know,
Hey, how are you?
I was beginning to doubt myself.
is. No, that's accreditation.
Accreditation, yeah.
Yeah. And that's,
Because,
And,
Because
Well,
for the state plan, don't the schools have to, do annual plans
yes,
reporting
yes,
to the
and
state?
we were ready,
Well,
yeah.
And the schools wouldn't, I don't think,
Not,
would do that.
nothing, no. And right now, we have, a check, I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
probably
schools
about
do some kind of
70% of the
renewal
schools
plan.
already have their plans started, because we sent them the PGs, the performance goals.
let me grab it.
Said they needed them to start doing their
Yeah.
alignment.
Right, because we saw those last year.
Yeah.
Right, so, and
And-
Harvey was
and they needed-
yeah, Mrs. Dillard was cross-checking the PGs of the existing plans that are being worked on, because she's a super user, to see if they're aligned, and that's, she was working on that yesterday.
And performance goals come from,
Well,
I'm trying to link
they
them
come
with
from, they come
performance
from the
expectations.
criteria areas, so the
Okay.
student achievement, right, the teacher and administrative quality, gifted
Take
and
them out of
talented.
state, take them out of state.
Yes.
I'm gonna, best to pull
The
up the
same
Jim's
for-
website so that they can see.
Yes, yes.
And climate,
Those
you
are
said school
performance
climate?
goals.
Okay, it's,
I'm
it
trying to
just
get,
says climate.
you know, there's
Climate.
performance expectations and there's performance
achievement,
goals.
teacher,
Where do these come
administrative
from? How do they relate
teaching
to
and
these?
climate.
So we're gonna pull up, so you
These
can
are
see
supposed to
what's
come from the
required.
strategic plan.
Tricia,
These
she's
PGs
100%
come out
right.
of the
What we
state.
have in this, it is not the state document.
And there has been a lot of confusion, at least in my mind, because of the use of this, that there are two separate, but then I go online and I see that this,
Yeah.
that the advanced and accreditation strategic plan was for 5 years, as they are, and it ended in 2019.
And then it should have been up for review now.
And that's what I
And now I
thought,
could-
that's what I
yes.
thought you
And
were,
that's, no,
now, so
I'm sorry.
it's,
no.
I see that
You're
now.
not alone. I thought there was one strategic plan.
And I sent you the
I thought that's what was
updated
being
advanced
updated.
performance indicators, I sent you that as an email, and I included Robin on it.
Robin, is
Okay.
there a way I can just
Yeah.
get this? Show everyone.
I can't keep looking at that picture.
Why?
Oh, you don't like the picture?
Twice a month is enough.
I know, well, the paper puts that in all the time.
So,
Let's see if I can, hang on a second, let me.
David, a diagram would be a beautiful thing. Now, Mary, the performance goals,
And I just need
are
to
they
see
from
if
those
it's-
4 areas that you said are from the state strategic plan?
Yes,
So there are goals
Okay,
that you
let's see if
have
I can
to
just go on.
create and
yes,
a lot in those different sections.
Yes.
So that's where the
Right.
performance goals are coming from, the
Yes.
state strategic plan.
Right, I got that, but then we got performance expectations.
Right. That come-
Operational expectations, it seems
That's-
incomprehensible to me that we'd have 2 sets.
Right. That's the
That-
running of the
that-
district, this is the overseeing of the district.
or the
Well-
problem is you have different requirements by
Right,
other
right.
agency. I think that's the
Yes.
cleanest way.
Exactly,
Right.
but I just wanna make
Yeah.
sure that
Reporting out of
that
that.
we acknowledge
Yes,
that we have
yes.
those requirements in our strategic plan.
Mhm.
Because, our strategic plan is not about governance, our strategic plan is about the whole district. Governance is just part of it, right? So somehow they all have to connect.
Yes, they do, or they should. So
Or they
they're,
should, they should.
you know,
I
all
will not be
highways.
comfortable until they connect.
Right,
Because when we say strategic plan, that sounds like that was what they tried to do back in
Yes,
20, whatever it was. They tried to do a
2014.
signal thing that incorporated advanced
Everything.
accreditation and the state requirement. They tried to put them together. And then
Because-
have the PEs come down out of that. So that was laudable.
right.
so,
They weren't effective, but it was good try. They knew what they were doing.
Yes, I agree with that.
They knew what they were doing.
so when you do see, there's a spreadsheet I sent you. In that spreadsheet, the very first tab says crosswalk. It takes the the existing PEDs as a items, okay?
Yeah.
Into the board performance expectation, what it means,
I have
right?
my password on.
Departments that they
Yeah,
fall
I know what it's
into.
saying.
In my world, I made my people
Uh-huh.
identify that we're all responsible. But as you go across, it even goes into the state board and advanced ed. So when you, just for you to know that I was making something operational for us, to try to put
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ingredients of the soup together.
yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to put my own
It
eyes
was
on
a different password, I was starting to panic a little bit there.
And it happens because
Well,
everyone's in
that
the room with
password
you.
was back in 2014.
Good.
That expired in
All right.
2019.
So grants that come.
This is
Well, this is what
e-grants
we-
management, so what I'm showing you here is, they started this last year through the state. This is where all school districts and schools are supposed to schools put their school renewal
Renewal
plans,
plan.
districts put their strategic plan. So, what I'm gonna show you is
Go to what exists, can you pull
the one that, the.
what
current-
exists and then what we're working on so they can,
Okay,
all right?
the one that exists is not the one that you've got there, that's,
Right,
okay. You
not
want
this
some-
one, show
okay.
the old
Okay.
first, which would be,
I don't have that one in this system.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's the new system.
Yes.
Yeah, so just, yeah,
So let me show you, this is,
what exists,
All right.
what we're working
so
on.
the way this is set up is you have, there's different areas. So here is the strategic plan, information, stakeholder, mission and vision. I'll go through and show you something in a little more detail. So there's the plan information and stakeholders. In here is the needs assessment information that includes the data piece of it. And then the executive summary.
Actually, this
The
down.
executive summary is divided into pre-K through second, grades 3 through 8, grades 9 through 12. There's a teacher administrative quality portion, and there is a school climate portion, and then there's also gifted and talented tables that are in.
So, also to recognize again that the requirements change from 1 year to now.
Mhm.
So in the table of contents, there is that difference that you noted, happy.
Okay, so, and then the next big area, of course, are the performance goals. So the idea being that the performance goals are based on the data, your executive summary is kind of a narrative of what that looks like. And then here's there's the gifted talent, there's some tables that we put in, proficiency-based system, and then there's assurances. But this is the layout of the way that we are now required to put it in as of last year. So, information, stakeholders, needs assessment, performance goals,
Okay. That's what
GT
this is.
tables, but yes, so that's basically what you've got there, it's just, that's just in a Word document, area. So for instance, and it's very similar in some respects to what the other information asks for, so like right here is the, plan submission and the updates. And then where you put in the stakeholder, yes,
Carmen, this would be an update or a 5-year
it
plan?
would be an update.
So what was our last 5-year plan?
So the last,
Because
I
we wrote
actually,
this.
I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. That, they said that with the new,
Right.
leadership here,
This is the
this would be-
5-year,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
It's a 5-year
Yes.
plan, but you're,
Yes.
this year is
District
a 5-year.
strategic plan,
The
5-year
state,
plan.
right, this is the
Right.
state's district, I gotta put that magic word in there.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, not the one tied to advanced ed.
Right,
Right.
which is also a 5-year plan.
Yes.
So this is the beginning of year 1.
This
So
is-
when it said update there, is that? I mean,
No, it should
It said
say,
update here,
Yeah.
yeah,
right.
right, it's gonna have to be corrected, it's gonna have to say 5-year.
5-year.
Okay, and Cogni is the new name of Advanced Ed, that was what I was trying to.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and because they changed all of their, different areas as well too, their different standards.
So can you just enlarge that a little bit for, just, because with that statement being said, so it says, school does not utilize Cognia, school utilizes Cognia, district and all district schools utilize Cognia. The answer would be the third radio button. But nowhere is it asking at this point to have Cognia information in this document.
Got it. Okay.
It doesn't, because I peeked, Carmen said
Yes.
like it, yeah.
And our 5-year cycle with the state is not the same as the 5-year cycle with Cognia,
Cognia.
Makes
Advanced ed.
sense. Makes sense.
okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just gonna show you, and this is, of course, a work
Which
in
lends to
progress.
say, are you ahead of the cart by doing the
Behind.
work you're doing in your committee?
that's
However,
a
it will
question we
make
had.
this easier, if that makes sense. If you utilized it, I just sent you the updated performance goals of Cognia Advanced Ed. You reference that booklet.
Okay.
And when Robin signs in, I'll have, if you could pull that up. Because I now just have to find out and get who our point of contact is for Advanced Ed to get the confirmation, because you're gonna need to know that information. I
To know
think you need to
where
know
we-
that, where we are on that cycle.
I agree.
Yes, I think you
Right.
need to know that.
We do need to know
Yes,
that.
yeah, okay?
And we need to
More
update our
importantly,
district
You
website
all
so
need to
that
know
it's.
that.
Yes,
That
well, yes,
exactly.
but,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
yeah,
but-
yeah,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So anyway, and then this is the, I'm just showing you basically stakeholder information where the different people, that have been involved. Of course, we,
So what-
with our, go ahead.
We're gonna update, in that, we're gonna be uploading our, like, tonight's sign-in
Mhm.
sheets and the sign-in sheets from the Listen and Learns.
Yes.
So that was our community input.
Got it.
Mhm. And then mission, vision, and beliefs would go here, which is probably something we need to,
That would be something I would ask the board to revisit. Right now, we're utilizing the documentation that we already have.
Which was from
I,
the advanced ed.
right, from,
Strategic
so
plan.
at this point, it's
Right,
years old.
yes.
and then the needs assessment piece. I'm just kind of showing you just a brief so you can get an idea for the flow of how it works. All right, so.
Can you show more documents in there? Carmen, have you uploaded us, or have you
I
checked
have,
anyone?
yes, I have started. So, we're, at a minimum, we're required to put the district report card link, which we do. But we've also put in all of, basically what you've got in that document has been uploaded in here, all the different
Yeah.
components.
All the components that are in here are uploaded in there.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all in here, so.
Some good information.
All in here, okay? And that just goes all the way down, it keeps going, as you can tell, there's quite a bit of
Yeah.
documentation there.
Yeah.
All right, and then the next area of the needs assessment, of course, is the executive summary, where we give the narrative. My finger doesn't wanna work.
Let's see if they're executives.
Yeah, Carmen, I still have when we sat to codify, when we categorized.
Do what? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's being very slow, sorry guys. I may minimize this just a tad. Looks like it would be easier to read. There we go. Okay, so we do the executive summary, and here's where it's divided in the different areas. So there's early childhood, and again, you've got that narrative in your packets there.
Okay.
So there's the early childhood, elementary, middle, the high school, teacher administrative quality, school climate,
Rachel, you still there?
and
Yes, ma'am.
under other, I went ahead and put the
And then we're
crosswalk.
gonna, so we're gonna go back, Carmen,
Oh,
on
yes,
this.
fix that,
We
yeah.
wanna change the OEs back to PEs,
Okay.
because when it's presented,
Right here.
because everything may not be finalized, and then we can update, and there has to be a recognition with the board to
Okay.
know that we will update and change this. And granted, this is an add-in for us for operational
I'll do
purposes,
that later.
all right? But we need
Okay.
to change, yes, all right, and I took notes for us.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then here is the GT, there were 2 goals related to that, gifted talent, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, this makes so much more sense now.
This is a much easier document than walking onto that path yet. That's a much
Yes.
more comprehensive that we will need assistance with.
So I'll go
That's why
back
they had a
and-
consultant.
Okay, and then these are all the different goals, again, that are in yours, and I can expand these, but here are the 6 student achievement goals, the teacher administrative quality goals, school climate.
And Carmen, are there requirements for how many goals per theme?
No, no.
So just, all right, but
Um,
we must address each theme.
mhm.
But
Okay.
in the listen and learns, it was 6 compelling areas that came up from meeting with community.
So if I expanded these, but you can see, again, it's in your document, in the Word document, but this is the, performance goal. Then each year, we do an, interim goal for that year. So based on our executive summary and our, needs assessment data, we would update that each year. And so we are able to, if we need to tweak any of these along the way, we are allowed to do that. You know, if say we meet a goal and we see something else that needs to be, addressed, then we can certainly,
Can I just
certainly
ask,
do that.
I do have to go and I apologize, but
Okay.
I'm
Kathy,
gonna go too.
okay, Kathy, are those, I'm sorry, the one you
You want me to
just
go
had,
back?
Carmen, just for a second, since you worked on the results, are these the same goals that Frank has to meet that are the
We were
results?
trying to be close,
Okay,
but we did not use the exact metrics for the first year, since I believe Dr. Rodriguez had almost.
right, exactly,
Right,
so
right,
got it,
that-
got
right,
it,
right,
okay.
so-
At least they-
All right,
Exactly,
Yes,
but
yes.
the
And
language,
then after
the
that
language
was
was
two-
stable.
the first
So
one,
then-
yes.
So that's where flexibility comes in
Got
as
it.
well, but I didn't wanna use.
no, it makes
growth.
sense, I just wanted to try to get it in my
Yes.
head to make
But
sure.
in the
Yeah.
truth, they should be aligned,
Uh-huh,
so when you sit to revisit,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Dr. Rodriguez's, his evaluation, what I may ask is that at your language, upon approval, that we put forward to update if if the markers are below what's approved, we must meet that in this state required strategic plan. That would be the language I would say, right? If we're putting a marker that's below what you agreed upon for the superintendent,
yeah,
then the language should be, upon approval of this, these state performance goals must meet,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Now, this conversation about a goal identifying the achievement gap. But the perspective of writing this is if you're moving children, we're closing the gap.
right.
Well, we have a
The gap
measure,
is
yes.
woven through all of his.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Okay,
It is.
so I
It
just
is,
wanted to
yeah.
I
put
know
that.
Mel didn't see that, but it's woven in there.
It's woven.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, and
because
I'm not doing
yeah.
any disrespect to Mr. Kim, because I have the
No,
highest
he just
regard to
wants it
him.
isolated as
Yes, yeah,
singular.
but if we're moving, we're moving.
Right.
But what we don't want is the top to drop down,
No,
Right.
no, we have to.
because that's a false
Well, we
achievement.
do
We're all
have
lined up on that.
We do have a category
Yes, you're,
on
it's
there for
enumerated.
achievement
Okay.
gap.
But
It
it's
does
also
have
in-
it,
all
yeah.
right. But
Incumbent
does
in
this help give a
everyone.
little clarification, so what we will find out, Ms. Carmen, we can find out from the advanced ed of
Please do.
Cognia,
Mhm.
because I have received no communication from them for accreditation. I know we just confirmed certification that for every teacher, which is part of that 5-year cycle.
Okay.
Because we just did that with HR. So I'll
Okay.
check with Alice, but maybe if you could
Yeah,
do a
that
little
would be
legwork.
nice.
Because
Sure.
we just did that confirmation, because we only had 2 people in our division that we had to address.
Okay.
Okay?
Excellent, that would be really important to know about that. And then maybe our district website could be updated
Yeah,
to
because that
reflect
document is not.
It
Well,
is the only document we have for
But it
advanced.
is,
When
right.
you say, but it's reflected, what did you want changed on the website? You want that document taken off?
No, I don't want anything yet until we get it all, but what
Right.
I'm saying is that when you go on the website
Right.
and you see that strategic plan.
It
And
does not.
advanced ed,
this
we
at
just
all.
know that
Right.
the dates, no, and that the dates are, we're past it, so
Exactly.
let's, where are we
And the
then?
hyperlinks are
Everything
incorrect,
has
because
to
I
be
just went through it, the
Right.
hyperlinks are incorrect, because it keeps saying
And
the
we have
same thing.
to align
Okay.
with the gentleman here.
Okay, all
But
right,
first, we have to figure out when we're gonna meet.
right, okay.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Deborah.
Rachel, we're looking at the calendar now.
Okay, I'm gonna have to jump off here, so you guys go ahead and schedule it and I'll make it work.
Are you in town now next week? Or when,
Next week, yeah,
what about the week after?
the week after I'm gone and the,
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, and I'm gone Monday through Thursday next week, so if you guys can meet without me, I mean,
And do you recognize your board meeting?
What about Friday the 13th?
I'm gone.
my daughter's
I
32nd
have a morning
birthday.
meeting.
She's Katie O'Fedrich.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
where are we?
nice.
I really have to go, so we gotta
okay,
get this.
yeah, okay. Well, she's
He's got a lot on his plate.
available the 13th. Trisha's back on the 13th, but,
Wendy's,
Wendy's not
I'm the same.
available on the 13th. Do we need Wendy?
Well, we
So
can
much,
give her-
not yet.
We can give her an excuse for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Um,
can excuse me.
Rachel, what time in the morning? Are you free after what time?
Follow up with that.
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
I mean, Rachel, I'm sorry, I said Mary.
I have an eight
Not in
thirty
the
that
morning.
morning, so I should be done probably by 10:30, I'd assume.
What about, are you free like at 12:01?
I could be here at 1:30. She's probably got to pick
Oh,
up the
okay.
kids.
You wanna keep that, that's the prior.
Can you do,
Sorry.
are you free on the 13th?
Friday the 13th.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't schedule anything on Friday the 13th.
Well, can you say, I mean, Rachel, do you have to pick up the kids or can you be here?
On Friday?
Yeah,
On Fridays, I'm fine, my husband's here, so I don't have to pick him up.
okay.
So 1:30 on Friday the 13th?
That should be fine.
Okay,
Does that work for,
Works for me.
okay.
Would you all like me to draft some language for that those construction issues after talking with the Kelly and just, want me to do anything with it or what?
I guess, sure. I mean, I don't think we're
There.
there right now, but,
I mean, we just, some
Yeah.
suggested language, y'all can change it however you want.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
okay, yeah. Did we adjourn?
we're adjourned?
Yeah,
Not yet.
Okay.
somebody else to say?
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Second.
All right,
Okay.
discussion?
Aye.
Aye.